Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Is Football. Welcome to special edition stream that we haven't had to do all year long this year, which is Liverpool Therapy. Now, you guys, of course, the people who were there last season, you guys remember we had about 20 episodes of therapy, because we kept losing every week and we absolutely stank. This season, there is no need for any therapy because we're actually quite good, to be honest with you. Until the sad news today, absolutely horrible news today that Jurgen Klopp is leaving Liverpool at the end of the year. And it's kind of like, it's just 24 hours of mourning. It's just so sad today, the news that came out. And we're here, and I've got four fellow Liverpool fans with me to discuss events. I would bring Tom Little on, but also Tom Little is currently actively damaging his liver outside. So we were supposed to be six, but Tom Little has no self-control whatsoever. And I think his liver by 25 probably will stop working because this guy is absolutely ham when it comes to, the haram activities. Big up to my guy Aaron in the chat. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribing. W's in the chat right now for my boy Aaron for the big super chat to start off the stream. What a guy, Aaron, man. W's in the chat for Aaron. And look, guys, today, obviously, as you guys know, we all watched the interview. We all saw the press conference. Jurgen Klopp is leaving Liverpool at the end of the year, and we have assembled the Avengers today for a very sad stream that's about to happen. And they're kind of having a go at me in the background. And to be honest, they have a very right to, because there's like, okay, so you couldn't even bringing us on a happy episode. You know what? They're right. Maybe I need to start bringing these shows on a bit more regularly on a happier basis. Hopefully after we destroy like Man United again or something like that, possibly, maybe that's the thing, or maybe when I do my celebration when we win the league title at the end of the year to send Klopp off into the sunset, we'll have the biggest stream in Liverpool YouTube history. Can keep it going for like 15 hours or some shit. Anyway, big up to Aaron. Make sure you guys are listening to him and liking and subscribing. Big up all the people who put in the W's as well for him. Look at this guy. Yeah, you rep Onana and you're a United fan. How are you telling me era's come to an end, brother? Your manager's era about to come to an end in about 2 weeks. Have some shame. Have some shame. And you rep Onana. He's not even starting for Cameroon anymore. Bozo. Big up to Ed who says, cue the sad songs. Oh, it's definitely going to be a sad songs. Well, at least for three of us. Let me introduce the people who are feeling real sad right now. Today, guys, he's not in Thailand. He's not in Germany. He's not in France. He's not next to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Is it Leaning Tower of Lisa? Is it Tower of Lisa or Pisa? 1 second. Leaning Tower of Pisa. I knew it. See? Don't ever question my culturalism. Joining us on the channel, of course, Positive Man himself and Top Red representative. And he gets extremely annoyed when I call him a Top Red, so we'll call him Top Red. Man like Rax is in the building. How are you doing, Rax, man?
I'm good. Hello, everybody. It's been a while. We sat through a whole season of therapy sessions, and then as soon as Liverpool get good, I haven't been on the channel since. And then Hussein brings me back for the saddest of saddest shows. So yeah, but look, I'm always glad to be back. Always glad to be sharing stream with Hussein and the guys who are going to be here. It's going to be fun, and it'll be a little bit sad, but be positive, man. There's a lot of love for Jurgen, and we're going to celebrate as well. So it's not just about being sad.
So Rax, listen. God gives his toughest tests to his toughest soldiers. Big up to you, Rax. Joining us on the channel as well. You guys see me actually in his chat, and he's in my chat as well a lot of times. Like, actually enjoy watching his content until I heard he wants Thomas Frank to replace Jurgen Klopp, and then I almost wanted to jump off my building. But joining us on the channel, of course, you guys know him. You've seen him on Footy Judge Mo. You've seen him on this channel before as well. It's been a while, actually, but you've seen him here as well. Aaron, who sent in the super chat earlier on, is also always in his chat. Man, like Jamie Phillips is in the building. How you doing, Jamie, man?
I'm doing good. I don't want Thomas Frank. I just put it out in the atmosphere that FSG will want Thomas Frank.
That's a no. That's such a no. Oh my days. Big up to you, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us. Big up to you. And listen, he's already in the comment section. There's two frauds in the background right now. I just want to say before there's two frauds. They're both happy. Now, I got death threats earlier on from Liverpool fans, like, you better bring them on and cook them. You better talk to them today. These Klopp outers are so happy Klopp is leaving. But listen, we had conversations with them all year last year. We were talking to them. Big up Matisse in the chat as well. Big up my guy Matisse. And also, brother, you drew to Aston Villa. Like, why are you so excited? You're going Villa Park, Habibi. Bye-bye, FA Cup. So one of the frauds is in the chat as well. So here he is. You've seen him on Footy Judgment. You've seen him on my channel. You've seen him on the Terrace. You've seen him on the Jerry James show. You've even seen me in his comment section as well. Actually, watch his content, despite he's Klopp out. Joining us on the channel, of course, is the man, the myth, the legend. Allegedly taller than 6 foot. Until I heard something else from the people who met him in real life. Man like Jerry is in the building. How are you doing, Jerry?
Who did you see in real life? If anything. No, I'm actually 5'2". But big up to everyone. Yeah. Context is the word I'm going to use today a lot. So if we could get the definition up of context, and then we can apply that to what will be said. But big up to everyone in the building. Make sure we're smashing a like. Let's go. Let's get
big up to you. Big up to you, my guy, man. Big up to you, Jerry. And finally, last but not least, his name is only one letter, for good reason, because he's a man of few words. But when he speaks, everyone listens. See how that's such a good line for an introduction there. Joining us on the channel is not Stevie G, just the G alone. And he's another guy who was pretty anti-Klopp last season. So I want to hear his reaction right now, looking into Liverpool's future as well. I think I could be wrong, but from what I've been watching, I heard he's a Zerbi fan. So I want to ask him about the hipster favorite of football fans right now. Joining us on the channel, of course, you've seen him last season 100 million times. Man like G is in the building. How are you doing, G, man?
I'm good. It's evening time over here. I'm just sitting back, relaxing, happy to be. Listen, Rack said it. Last season, we were getting cooked left, right, and centre, getting beat by Wolves and Brighton and Nottingham Forest. We were having therapy session after therapy session. We did Pep Linder's book. Yeah, I mean, it was good. I kind of miss it. I can't lie to you. I actually kind of miss it, if I'm being honest. I miss the camaraderie of everybody. You know what I mean? Like, we were a close-knit unit. Do you know what I mean? Like, thank you, Jamie. Do you know what I mean? But, I'm happy to be here. I can't even lie, man. Like, big up everyone in the chat. Hassam, again, big up yourself, everything that you've been doing, everything you're going to be doing, you know what I mean, in the future as well. So, guys, make sure you smash a like, man. He said it there already. So, let's go. Let's go. Big
up to you, my guy, G. Listen, big up to G, Jerry, big up to Jamie, big up to Rax as well. Big up to Toko, says therapy session permanent after next season's onwards. Hey, it depends who we hire. This is what we're here to discuss. If they get me Graham Potter, I'm going to be Potter out the moment he steps foot into this. We're going to do daily therapy sessions just to handle this shit. So it depends who we sign, who we get. So I cannot tell you right now, but, it's not looking good, brother. Big up to you, Toka. Hussam, run for Inzaghi or Bielsa. Sorry, I'm joking. I'm so glad you clarified you're joking, because earlier on you said you wanted Arteta, and I actually timed you out for 10 minutes just so you can think. Because this is North Korea, there's no freedom of expression here. If you give me any of these managers, give me a headache. No, we're not about to do this. Man said Arteta. Come on, Hassan, you're so much better than this. Did you see Bozo LeBron's goodbye to Klopp? Nope, I did not see it because I'm not on any social media, my brother Ed. But I will try check it out right now. I'll try Google it or something like that. So yeah, big up to you, Ed. Big up to Constantinos, who says the iconic crew is back. Welcome, y'all. Big up to you, Constantinos, my brother. Thank you so much for the super chat. You're damn right. The crew is here. The crew is here, Habibi, and we're here to talk Jurgen Klopp. We're here to talk Liverpool Football Club. Before we get started, look, 400 people are in here already. I don't want to keep stopping this conversations to say like and subscribe. So as my brother Aaron is telling you, hit the like button, subscribe. All the super chatters are going to give you guys a massive shout out at the end. And look, let's get this started with feelings first. And guys, for the people asking, where's Tom Little? Because Tom Little was the Henderson of the therapy shows. He was there on every single therapy show. Tom Little is outside damaging his liver permanently. That is what Tom Little's doing right now. So, Rax, I'll start with you. Talk to me about, the feeling you have with this Jurgen Klopp situation.
It took me a while to kind of obviously to let it kind of sink in, and maybe it hasn't sunk in, but I'm actually okay. I'm actually like quite positive about it in the sense that if he wants to go and he thinks it's the right thing for Liverpool Football Club, then it probably is the right thing for Liverpool Football Club. I've said this about players in the past. Like, if you're not 100% committed, for whatever reason, I'm not saying Jurgen's not committed in a negative sense, but if he doesn't feel he can give everything that he's supposed to give, then it's probably okay. It's right for him to leave. And if he thinks it's right, I'm happy for him. Like, I have no ill feeling. I love Klopp. I think he's given me, as a Liverpool fan, some of the best moments, some of the best memories. You know, even starting from the first season, the Dortmund victory, Barcelona obviously winning the trophies we won. You know, whether it be the penalty shootouts or winning the league, the whole thing. So I'm satisfied and I'm content that he's satisfied and content and he's made the right decision. Because I'm sure he wouldn't have come to this decision rashly. He would have thought about it as well, because you don't just walk away from Liverpool on a whim. And so I think we should all try and be a little bit mature about it. Like, some guy, everyone knows, we all know that spaces can be a bit wild sometimes. Some guy earlier on was saying that he cried for an hour with his girlfriend next to him when he heard about Jurgen Klopp news. And I'm like, bro,
about. Oh, man up.
I'm like, bro, you're a grown man. Like, have some dignity and respect for yourself. What do you think Klopp would see if he saw you doing that? He'd be laughing at you. It's ridiculous. Klopp has been a massive, massive part of Liverpool Football Club, and he will never be forgotten, and he will forever be welcomed back to Liverpool. He'll always be one of us. And sometimes all good things have to come to an end. So that's it.
His girlfriend's walls are drier than the Sahara Desert right now from him crying for a year.
I can just imagine the guy.
I heard someone say that Klopp. I heard someone say that Klopp actually has done more for them than his parents, his brothers, his sisters. He said he'd swap all of them in a minute to keep Klopp. I said, yeah, this has gone too far. It's gone too far.
I mean, this is a classic example of people that I love football. I've always loved football, but probably in the last
don't do it,
2 or 3, 4 years.
Don't do it.
No.
Please don't be the guy that says you're taking football too seriously. Don't be that guy. Football is bigger than life.
Listen, these aren't my words. These aren't my. These are Jurgen Klopp's words. Football is the most important of the least important things. He said it better than me.
That's a very cute sentence and stuff, but let's go back to Bill Shankly. He said football is bigger than life and death. You get me? So let's not do this right now. Talk about, football doesn't matter. No, it does matter, because I was a meme last season. So everything matters.
But it doesn't matter more than your mum giving birth to you.
I mean, by definition, if my mom didn't give birth to me, I wouldn't be here right now. So obviously, that's that's the foundational step of life. So of course, but that's way too deep thinking, Like, unless the guy, if the guy that cried next to his girlfriend is like 15 or 16, fairs. But like our age, that's when you need to have some shame. Like, I'll be honest, you gotta be crying for an hour. Maybe cry for 2 minutes, but khalas, then after that, you should be good to go. Someone who didn't cry at all, man, like Jerry.
You cold, heartless.
That's such a good transition as well.
Yeah. Interesting one. Do you know what? I'm going to be honest. I was fuming due to the timing of it. If I'm going to be deadly honest, I think obviously this was before I watched the 24-minute video, and I kind of understand the context now surrounding why Klopp's leaving. And it does make sense, because I think he was burned out last season. I think everyone could see that. I think we had therapy sessions talking about the fact that he looked burnt out. It looked like he was getting antagonized by the media. You didn't want to be there. Those are the kind of the arguments people were having and putting forward. But I was fuming because it doesn't make sense. Why today? Why all of a sudden? Why out of the blue? Why did the players find out today as well? They didn't find out in November. This seems to me like it was a very kind of off the cuff moment, and it was like, Jurgen, we need you to come in at 8 a.m. before anyone's on the pictures and the dinner ladies aren't in yet to do this interview, so we can get it out. Do you know what I mean, by the morning? And it was a weird one because of where Liverpool are now. Yes, I did obviously, and we can obviously dive into it. I was saying Klopp out. And yes, it was context. In the context of last season, 100%. I think his position should have been in question. But it doesn't make sense when we've rebuilt a Liverpool 2.0 and we're on course to have another potential historic season in terms of winning every competition that we're into, that Klopp's decided, actually, I'm jumping the boat and at the end of the season. But I still want us to focus on this season. Like, come on, let's just be honest. Who's going to be able to focus on this season? The perspective of Klopp saying that, oh, okay, you know what? I've said it now, but he stated in the press conference, oh, I've said it now, I'm leaving, but I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want the fans to speak about it. I don't want the games to be out about me. Well, of course they're going to be about you now. You know the fans more than anyone. Of course, everything's going to be about you. Of course, there's going to be more pressure on us to win every single game. We've got 30 games left, and every game now, as some fans have said, has to be a cup final now. We have to win every single game. And it's like the pressure we're putting on ourselves when we're in a transition period, yet it was still supposed to be a very good season, has now become so much greater than it actually should have been. And for me, that angered me in the moment. But I'm calmer now. I'm speaking a bit with a calmer tone. So, but it is what it is, man. We have to, like I said, we have to charge it, if we're being honest. And then who knows? Thomas Frank, Amorim.
Can I ask you a question just about that first like the first half of your argument before we go to Jamie and G as well? I want to ask you, don't you think it could also work in reverse, where it like galvanizes the players to like essentially want to run through a brick wall for him, because that's what I think personally is going to happen. I think it'll work in reverse.
No. I mean, look, I think the players would always run through a brick wall for Klopp. I think they've proved it this season. I think even the back end of last season, they've shown that even when everything was bad, even when there was murmurs that Virgil van Dijk and certain players in the squad weren't happy with the system that was being played and they were disgruntled about it, they still are performing to a high level. But galvanizing us, I think it puts more pressure. I mean, look, it could do. And if it does, I could be wrong. But for me, it puts more pressure on it, because what happens if we lose the next couple of games, which could potentially happen because we know how the season's been? What happens if we drop points and don't achieve the goals of winning the Premier League, as you said, Hassan? Then how do we look at that? Do we now judge the players based on the fact that you didn't work for the manager and we scold them? Or do we look at it and say, actually...
For me, yes, to be fair. I said I'm going to cook the players this year.
But that's my point. How can we cook the players when originally we were looking at these players and thinking, yeah, you know what, we might be up there, but we're not in to win the league. I think now the focus is all on we have to go and do this. Whereas before it was like, if we do this, it's great. Whereas now it's we have to win the Premier League. For me, before it was, we may win the Premier League, we might not. The intensity now that's put onto the players and Klopp, it might benefit us. It might go against some of the new players, and you just don't know until the end of the season. We'll see.
It depends who cooks and who doesn't. That's the thing. Big up to Staffy here, who says all eras come to an end.
And Hassan, don't say anything about this when I say it. I think this guy's the best goalkeeper in the world. Now, don't tell me Alisson this, Alisson that. You stick to your man, I stick to my man.
This
and
is the problem with this fan base.
We can live in peace. No, this is not a problem.
This is the problem with this fucking fan base. Honestly.
It's not a problem. Because
you guys keep saying Arsenal fans are bad. I swear you're worse than them. I swear. Exactly. I'll always have the last laugh, Staffy. So let's go to you next, G. Talk to me about this Klopp situation.
It was a shock in terms of when we found out. Like, he's telling us now in 26th of January kind of thing. But for me, I mean, you guys already know. I mean, I can't sit here and start lying to everybody and act like, oh man, I was sad about it, because I'm not sad about it in the slightest. Like, and listening to his interview, I think that is actually key. Listening to some of the stuff that he was saying about, not being able to go again and again and again kind of thing. When I'm listening to that, I'm like, yeah, you reached your expiry date, which is what I said last season. Like, there's gonna come his expiry date is coming soon. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I think what you can commend him on is at least saying, you know what, I'm not gonna do like what these other managers have done, which is leave the team in a position where it's like, you've got so much to do in this. Chelsea, for example, had to get in a whole new manager in the summer, buying all of these players. Manchester United, had to do the same thing like 10 times since Fergie has left. Arsenal only now have decided, to do, but they've been doing it, as well. So, yeah, like ultimately, it's football. Like, this is the game. Like Jerry said, you got to charge it. You literally got to charge it. At the end of the day, there's not much you can realistically sit here and moan about. all we can do is exactly what you guys are saying, though, is that it should, and what I think it's going to happen is it's going to galvanize the squad, though, because now they're going to be in a position, if they only found out whenever they did find out, like this morning or yesterday, whatever it was, if that's the case, then yeah, now it's a case of, yo, this season, every game, and I agree with what Jerry said. At the end of the day, Klopp's dumb, like, for saying, don't make every game about me. Brother, you know who you are to this team. You got given the keys to the city. You already know that everybody's going to be banners and all of this stuff at, at games and stuff like that. So it's going to mean a lot more to the fans. And this should give the fans, that extra. Sometimes Anfield has been like a library sometimes this season. Guess what? Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think every game now is going to be that extra vim that we maybe didn't have in other games and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, I'm like, all right, like I saw the thing and I looked at the phone and I was like, I just laughed. I was like, yeah, you're a funny guy. But I said, anyways, what's happening next though? That's all I care about. I don't really the here's and now. He's still here. He's here till the end of the season. So we do whatever it is we need to do.
Damn, D, we don't even have a thank you, Jurgen. None of that shit. Like, thank
no,
you.
That's coming at the end of the season. No. That's coming end of the season. We'll do the thank you videos and all of this kind of stuff. But right now, like, this is the game. Like, if anything, be happy that he's saying that I'll stay to the end of the season. He could have just left now. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I understand why people are so emotional, but then I sit there and think to myself, yeah, this attachment that you have, this Klopp FC that we were all talking about last season, that will always be an issue, regardless, because he's not bigger than this football club. This football club will be here when he goes, ultimately so. So when he does go, we need to be prepared mentally, and also, the players need to be prepared mentally and both physically to be able to say, you know what, it doesn't matter that Klopp's gone. Yes, he's a massive figure. Yeah, he was great. He was amazing, blah, 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 all that good stuff. But guess what? We're going to show everybody that it wasn't because of Klopp that we're in this position. That's when I'm going to start looking at these players. That's when I'm looking at these players and I'm going to be like, hold on. So if for an example, next season we get whoever the new managers, whoever you want to pick, and all of a sudden Liverpool just look dead. What is it because of Klopp that you guys were even good? If that's the case, then yeah, forget all of this. Then do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want any of those kind of players. I want players who are going to play no matter who the manager is, because they've got the winning mentality from the jump. If I can see that, that's when we'll see. We'll know that Liverpool are really about what they say we claim to be about, not screaming about things that happened like 30 years ago. And we're going to talk about, we're actually here. We've got the winning mentality. He's revived the club 100%. Guess what? Now you revived it. Thank you for everything you've done. Now let's get another guy in and let's continue that. Simple. Like that. That's what it is for me anyway.
Yeah, I want to talk about the future, of course, because we have to take care of the future, as you said exactly. Let's go to Jamie first, because Jamie ain't spoken yet. Go on, Jamie. Talk to the people. What are you telling me, bro?
The more I've look, the more. Hang on, 1 second. Go away. That's how you deal with kids. You just get rid of them, man.
That's how you treat your children.
Get rid of them.
I love Jamie, man. Let's go away. Big up, Jamie.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's what FSG done to Klopp today as well, by the way. Go away. No, I have honestly gone through the whole day. So obviously when you first hear that Jurgen's leaving, I literally just woke up when I got the message that he was leaving. At first you can't believe it. You think it's a prank. I saw it on Fabrizio's tweet first. So I went on Fabrizio to make sure it's the real Fabrizio. And, it was just like, what is going on here? And then he does the interview. And then he does the interview and you're like, okay, this is quite a gut-wrenching moment, because he is a big part of what we've been about the last 9 or 8 years, at this football club. He is our generation Bill Shankly. That's just the way it is. Bill Shankly, you go back, my dad always used to tell me, he never won a lot with Liverpool, but he brought Liverpool back from where they, to where they should belong.
The foundations.
And that's what Jurgen's done, in my opinion. And I'm a grown-ass man. I go back to my first manager at Liverpool was Kenny Dalglish in the late 80s to when he left in 1991. And for me, Klopp's the best manager since then at Liverpool Football Club, who's meant the most to the club, to the city, to everybody involved. But the man just feels like he wants to leave now. He's a grown-ass man. He doesn't want to be an old, miserable bastard when he's playing with his grandkids and that. He wants to be active. He wants to leave, and we shouldn't stand by his way. He's gave us great 8 to 9 years. I mean, if we win the league this year, what a perfect way to send him off, man. Perfect way to send him off, and we go again. And I'm quite all right at the moment. I'm a little bit excited for the future, actually, to see what we can do in the future. New managers coming in, different systems, different tactics, maybe different kinds of transfers we go for. It's an exciting time and a gut-wrenching time at the same time. But yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Before I unpack everything I just heard, so we can open the floor up, let me just go to a couple of these super chats. Big up to Onana again, who says the only way is down. My brother, you are 1 point above Chelsea. Talking about only way is down. You down already. Big up to Frank, who says, bye, Klopp. I'm here for the therapy and to drink the combination of your beautiful, diverse tears. What a super chat. Man said diverse tears.
Diverse enough. Okay, no.
Diverse tears as well. That's bad. You know how mad that is. Man said like we have different types of tears on the stream. Thirst quench, hold that. Love you. Bye. Hey, big up to you, Frankie. There is no tears anymore, because I think we're all just after watching the interview and probably after thinking about it, to be fair, and probably I'm sure this is not the first stream any of the guys on the stream have done today. Like there's probably they've spoken about it minimum 5-6 times already, 4 times, 3 times at least. So, I wouldn't say we're crying right now. It's more like a look ahead to the future. Alonso will not do 10% of what Klopp did. Legend. We're going to talk about it now because this right here is the $1 million question that I'm going to unpack the statement, Dinisham. So I'm gonna keep it up on the screen in a second. Selection, why you act like you didn't watch Liverpool Therapy or the book club this entire last year?
Hey, big up Selection, though.
But you don't know Dean suddenly, you fraud. I see you in his chat.
He's been on loads of
Such a
streams.
fraud.
Selection's been on loads of streams.
Hey, now big up
Yeah,
Selection every
Selection.
time, man. Big up Selection, man. Big up Selection.
Also, Selection can't say that because he's Jamaican. So big up to you, Selection. Big up to Memphis Depay, who says, Hussam, why don't you have Poch as an option? You love him. Out of the Premier League managers, Poch would be my favorite option out of the other 18. But Poch is not the top out of the managers in the world. But if we're talking current Premier League managers, then yeah, Poch wouldn't be a bad idea from the current Premier League managers only, not overall. Big up to Edrin, who says 7-0 staff and we still have Salah. Hold that. Fact. 7-0, bro. That's, by the way, you go Man United's Wikipedia page, 7-0 is there. So it's like Staffy will have to explain to his child how he got abused as an adult by Liverpool Football Club. Big up to Memphis Depay, says, cannot wait for back again. Memphis Depay, I cannot wait for you to, lose to Newport County this Thursday. But thank you for the super chat. And this is what I want to keep up here because, first of all, I want to say there's a lot of what you guys said that I do agree with, a lot that I do disagree with. The thing is, I cannot forget that Fenway Sports Group still own Liverpool Football Club. So will they make the right decision? Liverpool Football Club could move on to establish even dominance possibly in 2-3 years time and just have a manager that wins us stuff consistently, style of play, all of that good stuff. But depends, it really 100% depends who we appoint. Like, first of all, we have to say, look, Jurgen Klopp, I agree with the guys. Modern era, absolute best manager for Liverpool in the modern era. Shout out to Benitez, shout out to Gerard Houllier as well. Rest in peace, Gerard. But like Jurgen Klopp is number one because of obviously us winning the league, because that was the thing that we were missing. And of course, we won it all under Klopp as well. So this is the one thing that we have to say. Now, the future of Liverpool Football Club is not in Klopp's hands anymore or the players or any of that. It is in the ownership group's hands. Now, if the ownership group do employ the right guy going forward, and they essentially hire someone who could take us to the next level, someone who could build on what Klopp done. Because there was something today on my Straight Facts show where Terry asked me, someone actually asked in the chat, sorry, he was like, someone needs to rediscover Liverpool. I'm like, no, we don't need to rediscover shit. No, there is no manager that's gonna come in and try to do phase one. Like, this is not what we're about to do right here, because I feel like the one positive, I think even Jerry, everyone will say, Jurgen Klopp is leaving the squad in a much better place than when he first took over. So it's not like he's leaving a shit team where a guy has to come in, buy 10 players and sell 10 players and it's dreadful. Or no, it's not like that at all. So when someone comes out here and says like, you know, we need to reinvent the club, I disagree with that. I don't think we need to reinvent shit. We need a manager that can work based on what Klopp's done already. So like you take this team, you make 2-3 additions, you know, hopefully this team, obviously, hopefully we win something this season, something massive, inshallah, you know, a Premier League, something like that. But the point is, you know, we should get a manager that builds on what Jurgen Klopp does. And, you know, now we're obviously going to open up the managerial conversations, but G agrees with me and Jerry disagrees. So kind of just open floor conversation. Do you think this news coming out now will have a positive or a negative impact on the rest of the season? This is for whoever wants to answer. Open floors.
Positive. I think Liverpool go on to win the league from here. I think Liverpool go on to win the Premier League. I think it galvanises the players. There's a mentality about these players, and I think they feel like they want to do it for him. You know, I think they're going to get together and just go, look, the manager's leaving. I think it's going to be like that unit of Alisson, Virgil, Salah, you know, the boys that have been with Klopp and got a close relationship with him. I think they're and Trent and people like that. I think they're the ones that's going to get together and really make sure that, you know, we do this and we finish this season right and we try our most to win this Premier League. And I think they will achieve it. I think, you know, I think Klopp's last game will be in Dublin, personally.
Technically, the last game of the season is actually the FA Cup. That's actually the
FA Cup?
last game. It goes.
Yeah,
it's the 19th is the last Premier League game. The 22nd is the Europa League game. I think it's like 3 or 4. It's like 3 days in between each final. Like the gap's like tiny. Like there's not even like a week before you get to like the next game, which is weird. I don't really understand that. But yeah, I'm with Jamie. Like it should galvanize. I understand what Jerry's saying though, in terms of why it could get potentially flip the other side. But then again, that doesn't speak to Klopp. That speaks to the mentality of the players. That's where you then have to look at these players and say, yeah, if I'm being totally honest with you, that means you was just never going to win it, or you've got such a weak mentality that this will be something that will derail you so much so that you don't win. Obviously, if you don't win it by like a point, maybe you're not going to be too mad. But if there's some massive gap between us and Manchester City, like by the point that the season ends, I'm sorry, but that's 100% on players. It's got nothing to do with Jurgen Klopp. You was never clearly good enough to win it. I can't look at a manager and be like, oh, because you came out with this news in January, that all the way in May, you decide that, yeah, by that point, we're not going to win a league. No, man, I can't hear you.
For me, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. I think that's it's kind of picturesque. It's something you'd see in a film, that your manager that you had for so long has told you he's leaving. It just sounds like a film. And let's just be honest. When it comes to sports, the worst thing that you can go and have majority of the time is emotion. So if you're playing, if you're in a final and you're too emotional, we've seen what happens with Gerrard when he gets too emotional. He's been sent off in some of the in the bigger games. You look at the derbies, United. You go and look at.
No, you're gonna cook Gerrard next.
No, I'm not cooking Gerrard, but I'm not. How am I cooking Gerrard? It's the truth. Sometimes he's over emotional. I think that's a fair, especially being a Liverpudlian, 100%. I think you go and look at boxers as an example. When you get too over emotional in things, that's when things get a bit rocky, because you're playing an emotion instead of being clinical. And I think when Liverpool won the league, that was the season where it wasn't emotion. We were so clinical. It was boom, boom, boom. We just won. And it got to the point where we had a 20-point gap, and it was like Liverpool have just won it then. And then the emotion came out. City have proven there's no emotion to what they do until they've gone and won the thing. Look at Arsenal last season when they played on emotion, when they were singing North London Forever as loud as they could at the Emirates. Look how that derailed their season. Look how they came to Arsenal and to Anfield. And they played with too much emotion. And I think that asking the players to play with that emotion is very, like, for me, the connection that they have with Klopp, it's like, you don't want to disappoint Klopp. And it's like, it's football. You can go and do that. If we drop points,
yeah, but why would the outcome be negative, though? That's the thing I want you to unpack.
Yeah, that's
why
the
would the outcome be negative?
The outcome will be negative because up until this point, because I feel up until this point, if the players only found out today, well, earlier today, it was business as usual. It was Klopp's there. We're just going from game to game. We're taking one game at a time. From now on, as some fans have said, every single game is now a cup final. How can you play 30 cup finals and not drop off and not have a fall off? 30 cup finals. Yeah. 30 cup finals.
I don't. But this is sorry.
You've got a situation where so far this season, the dynamic has been the same. Now you're changing the dynamic. The question is whether that's going to have a positive or negative effect.
Yes,
there's been obviously examples. There's going to be There's examples in recent years in football. Ferguson retired twice. He retired when he actually retired, but he also announced his retirement about 7 or 8 years before then, and he did it around this time. And what happened to United that season? They fell like a stone. And then he decided that he wanted to stay on. I think right towards the end of the season, he decided, "Oh no, I'm going to change my mind." I spoke to Kathy, his wife at the time, and he decided that he wanted to stay on, and he stayed on for another 7 or 8 years and won a lot of trophies. Klopp did something similar at Dortmund. They announced it early, but then his trajectory, their results actually improved in the second half of the season. So it can obviously that's an example with Klopp. So it can work both ways.
No, 100%,
the question is, how will it work? Yeah,
100%. And I'm not disagreeing with the fact that it could galvanize them. I'm not an idiot. 100% it could, and if it could, it's the best storyline you could have. It's the best send off. But when I'm using my logical trail of thought, for me, I understand Klopp's obviously said in today's kind of society, in the world of social media, it's difficult to contain these types of, do you know what I mean, these secrets and this noise. So he had to release it. And there's kind of rumors that a journalist was going to leak the news, and he was forced essentially to come out with it. But it would have been, and I think he actually alluded to it in the 24-minute interview. Yeah, I think he alluded to it in that interview when he said, "Oh yeah, I mean, the best scenario would have been to win everything, and then me at the end of the season say I'm leaving." So it seems to me like this plan has come forward for whatever reason it was, and now it's again, how do the players deal with it? But for me personally, that's not how sports. When that's not how sports work. You can't just play off emotion for 30 games. It just doesn't make, like, if we done this for the Champions League final and you're playing a one-off game, it's a completely different experience. It's a completely different dynamic.
But I don't think we're going to play off of emotions alone. And historically, actually, Liverpool, when we actually use emotion, like, to be honest with you, I'll give you an example. The Champions League game against Barcelona, there's no other club in Europe that could make that comeback other than like that, because emotions were involved. So I feel like Liverpool have always weaponized emotion in a positive light, even under Klopp. Like when you look at it emotionally, singing You Never Walk Alone in Istanbul when we were 3-0 down, we use that emotion positively. Like, I know you're saying it's one-off games and stuff, and that's
one-off games. That's my point.
That's a fair point. But what I say is, most of we always have had that emotional side. Now in 1920, you mentioned there were multiple times. Of course, we were clinical, but there was a reason why we were nicknamed 2-1 FC, like the Aston Villa comeback, the Leicester win at the end of the game. I think there was like 4 or 5 games at the start where kind of won towards the end where there was heightened emotion. Anfield was worried, and it was like, people were kind of getting up to it. So here's the thing. I cannot say I'm 100% right, and I cannot say you're 100% right either, because only time will tell. And we, by the way, we're about to find out in the next like 3, 4, 5 games. We don't need to meet again in May to know the answer. In the next 3, 4 games, we're going to find out. Exactly. Is this positive or is it negative? Now, if we go, we were expected to beat Norwich, whether it was released today or not. So let's put Norwich to the side. If we go smash Chelsea, smash Arsenal, then we know it's had a positive impact. That's what.
But it's also probably good that we sit against Norwich, because it's a game where to some extent you can kind of get, we should win anyway, and maybe you can get that first game out of the way post the announcement. Yeah. So I can understand why the dynamics there make a little bit of sense. Then you've got another home game against Lewis. We've got another home game against Chelsea, who, obviously, are not great at the moment. Yeah, there we go.
Hi, Lewis.
So if we win those 2 games, then already it's almost like, okay, the announcement's been done. We're through the difficult 2 games. Arsenal, and then see what happens for the rest of the season. I'm old enough to remember when the Kenny Dalglish announcement was made. And we were top of the league. Ironically, we were also top of the league that season. Obviously, that came a few years after Hillsborough and all the stuff that came with that. So it's a different situation in that sense. But you know, if Jurgen gives the
Wasn't
gives
that the
all
last year
his
we
all,
won the league before Klopp?
the year before was
Yeah,
won the league,
we won it the year
yeah.
before, and then it was the year after.
And the year after, right?
And that was the year. That was the year after. We were top of the league by 5.7 points, and then we felt
We got
Ronnie
the-
Moran took over as from.
But where do the players go into all this then? Because if we're saying like, because G's point still stands. Like if you fucking bottle it in May, then what the January announcement can't be the reason why you bottle it in May.
Well, no. But it's context, isn't it? It depends. It's context, and it depends how the games go. So if you're going and battering teams, and then obviously fall off, you lose a couple of games in May. That's completely different. But if we're going and every game feels like a cup final, we know what it is for Liverpool. If every game feels like Barcelona, and it's like we need last minute winners, and you see. Do you know what I mean? We're not going to let it slip Steven Gerrard kind of scenes again, and we're not seeing the play, and the players are reacting like that. If we see that again, then for me, that's
That is just moving like Carragher today, hella
now
own
or
goal.
later on. Pardon?
See,
He's just
I
moving like
think-
Carragher today, hella own goals, bro. Leave
I don't know. I
Steven
think it was very sensitive when it comes to Steven Gerrard. I think that's what it is.
I am
Anytime
very
Stevie
sensitive.
G's
I
meant
like
just-
Yeah, that's fair.
Gerrard is my sensitive topic, 100%. I won't even deny it. That's my sensitive topic.
I think though this team with Jurgen Klopp actually plays better when they're full of fire and emotion. I think this team plays better like that. You know, when they don't, you can see that everything looks dead. You know, the atmosphere is dead. You know, when this team plays with emotion and fire, everything's up, everything's raging. You know, the crowd's going, the team's going. You know, the manager's throwing his fists everywhere. You know, that's why I think it might galvanise them. I don't think they'll be sitting there. And plus, I don't think players are like us fans. I think they're different. You know, they play for a club and see managers come and go. It's their job to play for that club. You know, they're employed for. So I think players will be
And if
different.
this doesn't have a positive effect on the fans at Anfield, I don't know what will. To be honest with you.
I know. I mean, Anfield's going to be electric. You'd think now till the end of
Yeah.
the season, won't you? So, I think it could be clever by Klopp by saying it now.
Look, time will tell. We don't know.
We're all going.
Yeah.
But it could be. It
I-
could
I-
be clever.
Like, if you want to look at the timing thing, like I said, it was a shock, but I don't feel like it makes any difference whether he said it now or at the end of the season. Because the reality is, he actually said it in November. He told the board already in November that he wanted to go. Obviously, he hadn't told the players. Fair enough. He hadn't told the players until he's obviously done the video. I think he did the video the day before, and then obviously he's released it today, and then he's done the press conference. But I still feel like I don't think it would have made that much of a difference whether he said it now or at the end of the season. From a fan's perspective, it makes a difference. From a player perspective, I don't feel like the difference would have been so major, so to speak, because the reality of the situation is it's not like we're in a season, I feel anyway, one where it's like last season, or we're in a season where it's like, we're not even really doing too well, and he's then come out to say, oh, you know what, man, I actually can't even do this, man. Next season, I'm not going to be here. Like, I just feel that it will just... Jerry, we know what Liverpool are on. Like, we know what this Liverpool fan base, 99% of these guys are super emotional. So we know that emotion in terms of Anfield, forget anywhere else, but just at Anfield, that emotion is just going to seep onto the pitch. And I just feel that will be a turning point. If, though, like you say, it flips over to the other side, I can't look at, again, context. Obviously, if we miss out by 1 point, I'm not going to be like, oh my days, it's because Klopp said this in January. That will just be context in terms of however the season goes. But if it's a case where we do, say, for example, lose to Chelsea, lose to Arsenal, then we lose our next game, we don't win for another like 2 games, then fair enough. That's when I can look at it and be like, you know what, slightly, maybe you should have just get your mouth shut until the end of the season. And then, maybe the boys would have because then they would have just been like, as you say, business as usual, like they've been doing, because they didn't know from before about, Klopp obviously leaving. But listen, man, it's a catch-22, man. Like we won't even know until the season ends. But maybe Sam's right. Maybe we find out in the next 2 or 3 games, like, yo, now you know what, had a positive. But I can't even say that. I think end of the season we'll know how this is obviously panned out. And all I'm saying is, if Liverpool don't win the league, The things that me and Jerry were saying last season, but it's going to come back to haunt people.
You know what's funny? You know, funny, like there's loads of rivals in the chat and on Twitter and stuff. They're all like, you know, taking the piss out of Klopp and, you know, what's he achieved? Just one league title. Wait till their teams, like, it's not even going to be 6 months. Wait till their teams hit a rocky patch, right? And they're going to ignore the fact that Klopp has said, I'm not going to manage another club. They'll all be shouting, let's get Klopp in. Chelsea fans,
They'll be
like, let's get Klopp in. Klopp is available. What is my club doing? Be serious. All this kind of stuff. So they're all gonna turn their back.
Lee Gunner did a video today. Lee Gunner did a video today saying get Klopp in there for us.
Oh my! Like,
you know
what you got? You know what's so dumb about these fans?
Available. Of course there is. Pick him up now. There's no manager.
But it's so dumb because when you deep it, and this isn't. I'm not trying to be disrespectful because I like some of the teams in the Premier, like the Aston Villas, the Brightons, like they, you know, what I mean, they play good football and all of that. But let's all be real. No, even take away everything that me and Jerry have even said. One thing that we'll probably both agree on is that you're talking about one of literally the second best, if not level kind of thing with Klopp, with Pep in terms of managers in this Premier League in this era. Anyway, there's no other manager at all in this entire league who even comes close to Klopp, let alone coming close to Pep Guardiola. So when the rivals are talking about, you know, they're laughing and stuff, which is fair because I would do the same thing when, you know, these other guys are leaving. But you guys employ, like, man are talking about Arteta in and out. Do you know what I mean? Chelsea, they just drew, I think, with in the FA Cup. Just like you lot's managers are so far behind in what we're even thinking about. That's why I don't feel like with Liverpool and their fans, I don't want us to feed into that. I don't want us as a fan base to have to feed into that kind of level of, you know, banter and negativity and stuff like that, because you got to remember them lot are in the dirt, like they're so in the mud, they just look dirty, like it's just mad over there at these football clubs, Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, like these clubs are absolutely in the gutter, so they can't really speak to us when they know
they're in the grave.
Like these
they'll
like,
be United fans in a month's time, in a month and a half's time, when Ten Hag gets sacked, there'll be United fans saying, as soon as Klopp leaves Liverpool, we should go and get him. Like, are you fucking on crack? Are you mad? You think there's a remote possibility of that happening? You must be on.
I saw today the fraud going like Arteta in 16 months is going to leave. We're going to get, bro. You ain't going to get exactly what it is.
Why don't we get Ole in to steady the ship and prepare it for Klopp?
But think about what they say.
Come on, man.
Think about what they say about Arteta. What's the one thing everybody seems to always do with new managers? Well, Liverpool gave Klopp like a few years. No. They always say, "Oh, Liverpool gave Klopp." Like, look what happened when you gave Klopp some time. You gave Klopp some time. Well, maybe we should give Arteta some time. Maybe we should give Pochettino some time. Maybe we should give Ten Hag some time. Oh, but Ten Hag won a trophy in his first season, so let's give him some time because Klopp got time. It's always reference to Jurgen Klopp because of how good he is as a manager. So this is just me talking about like in the rival stuff. When I talk about Klopp, you got to realize I'm talking about it because my team is so far ahead of you lot's team that I'm not trying to beef you guys about you lot's, you know, dusty clubs like Arsenal, the Chelseas, the Manchester United. I'm talking it from a Liverpool perspective because the only club I look at is Manchester City, and the only club I actually care about is Manchester City. The only club I've been battling with is Manchester City. I'm not battling with Arsenal and Chelsea and Manchester United. Bro, that's for the losers and that. I'm not doing all of that. Like, that's a silly conversation. You know what I mean? I need to do that.
And this is the thing, right? Like when we're talking, because I know we're talking about who the next manager could be. The issue we have is the same issue that every other big club has. Klopp came to Liverpool and he had a couple of titles. He had a Champions League final. He had a degree of pedigree. Obviously, Pep came to City with his pedigree. The only other manager out there, are two arguably, Zidane, who has some pedigree but obviously doesn't speak English, and I can't see that. And Ancelotti, who's at Real Madrid and maybe stays, maybe does. Like there's no one with the equivalent degree of pedigree. So any manager we get, to some extent, is a bit of a project himself. So whilst I'm not suggesting, like we as a team, we're ready to battle at the top, but we have to. It's difficult because the amount of time that some of these potential names that have been thrown, like Xabi Alonso, for example. Yes, Xabi Alonso has done exceptionally well so far, but he's only been a manager for about 6 months. So, like, it's a tricky one for not just for us, but for any manager, even for United, right? Or when they get rid of Ten Hag or whoever's looking for a top manager. Say, for example, Pep. It wouldn't surprise me. This might sound crazy. It wouldn't surprise me if Pep leaves at the end of the season, because to some extent they've been the bit of the yin and the yang, the rivals. If you lose your biggest rival to some extent, like if Manchester United disappeared, I know people will think that's quite funny, but the Liverpool Manchester games are what makes football amazing as well, right? Because if you lose, it's the worst possible team you can beat, but if you beat them, it's the best possible team you can beat.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure who the next manager is going to be, but we have to be very careful about who we choose. And it's not like you were saying, Sam. It's also about the structure we put in place because it's not just about one man.
I think it's obvious who it's going to be, but I've just seen that Liverpool are apparently trying to get Bournemouth's technical director Richard Hughes to replace George Schmack at Liverpool.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, I need to do some research on these
Yeah, no, but-
sporting
but-
directors. Boy.
I don't know if that gives us a link, like an idea of where they're going.
But I think look, it goes back to this whole kind of like who the manager is going to be. Goes back to what Hussam was saying earlier in terms of FSG are in the mold, in the background. Now, I've never been FSG out. I've never been screaming at the top of my lungs the same way that Sam was. I didn't pay for banners and planes and none of that type of stuff. Yes, Hussam, we remember last season, but currently the structure. I know we're talking, and I know Klopp is leaving the squad in a better place than we took over, but the structure behind the scenes for me is nowhere near close. Michael Edwards is gone. Julian Ward left after that. We've got Mike Gordon, who's just flip-flopping about all over the place in terms at Liverpool. You've got obviously Billy Hogan that's still there. Pep Linders and the whole backroom staff are going alongside Klopp. That's a massive, massive chunk of different parts of the engine that's just been removed, and we're going to have to put that in place on top of bringing in another manager. I don't think we're even in a situation to be able to go and bring in a win now manager because the structure isn't in place. And for me, what's happened over time and we spoke about last season with Klopp gaining more power, even in the summer, that now Klopp's in charge of recruitment. Klopp has a more hands-on approach on who we sign. We have kind of unintentionally become Klopp FC, where it's very similar to what we had at United, where Sir Alex Ferguson was in control of everything. And now when you remove that person, you're removing the core of what Liverpool is. And for me, that's what Klopp's become. And I think it's been unintentional because of how poorly or how we've been run. And we haven't been run to that nth degree as we were 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons ago, where we may have not been as good as on the pitch, but behind the scenes, we were we were a machine. And that's what worries me a lot, because you could bring someone in, but if that structure's not there, again, like we've said, that person's not going to be Klopp. And if they're not Klopp and they haven't got that structure, and Pep and Klopp needed that structure to succeed, what are we in store for now? And that's what worries me with FSG.
And that's what I'm about to ask you, because the next
Cherry's bang
segment
on.
now, I don't want to keep you guys for too long as well. So the next segment, I do want to ask you guys about the future a little bit here, because, I feel like we've discussed the emotion and everything and the past and even the present with this season. I do want to talk about like what happens next, kind of in the final segment. Big up to my guy Morshin Kayongo, says, Sam, I've gone through my 5 stages of grief. Big up my Ugandan brother. Big up to you, Morshin. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. And hey, listen, hopefully we end the season without any grief, all happiness. Big up to Nadra, says, how would Alonso cope with a transfer policy? FSG are greedy in the windows. That's exactly why I flew banners, myself and Kurdish and all the others who donated, and we flew planes and we done all that shit for good reason. Now FSG are truly going to get exposed. I
don't know. The way the
if they
Premier
don't
League
make
is
the
now,
right decisions.
the way the Premier League is now with its sustainable rules, we might actually have the best owners for that thing. So
okay, you're talking about the FFP thing.
Yeah, the sustainability rules. No one's buying anyone this month. They are worried.
Big up Manchester City. We need a manager who can do a lot with a little. FSG don't splash the cash and bend FFP rules like some Chelsea, Man City, but we will be fine. We still have great players and a good structure. That's why I actually disagree with just Jerry. Just the one sentence I disagree with, which we're gonna unpack now. Stick around. Big up to you, Ed, for the super chat. Everyone spam W's in the chat for my guy Ed. But I do agree though. The manager that comes in, there's one thing everyone here will agree on. The manager that comes in knows you ain't about to get no open checkbook. This is not no Chelsea Abramovich football club where you can go like 400 million and spend money.
So okay, so you see, I know we're going to unpack it anyway, but you see on that alone, yeah, when we talk about FSG and stuff like that, I agree 100%. I wish that they gave Klopp some more money because, especially at certain point, not even I don't want people to think man was asking for. I would have liked Mbappe, but I'm not asking for Mbappe and all of these kind of guys. I'm just saying at certain points, for example, you could have signed Konate before you actually signed him, so that he could have helped us in that season, as opposed to doing it later just for the sake of saving a bit of money. The only thing I will say about any manager that we like, if you just think of all the managers who we could potentially get come the end of the season, have any of them worked with any money? Like, I don't feel like any of them have really worked at any club where it's like they've had an open checkbook anyway. Okay, yeah. Outside of Zidane, but that's an anomaly because that's Real Madrid. Like, you can have money regardless there anyway. Outside of someone like him, let's just say we'll go with Tom Little's big choice, which is Amorim. He ain't working with crazy money. Alonso, he definitely ain't working with crazy money, and he's coming up against.
Actually, really bad at Lisbon because they usually sell their players. Not only is he not working with money.
So he's what Klopp used to be like when Klopp had to first come here, sell the Coutinhos and stuff like that to get money. So when we think about these things, that's why. For me, I don't look at this FSG thing in that kind of way. Not again, like I said, I want FSG. If we can get new owners, I would be happy with that. I'm not going to moan and say, "Oh, I don't want the owners are going to give me more money." But at the same time, you still have to look at it and think, well, let's just think of all the managers that everyone has listed today. Just out of everyone they've listed today. So your Alonso's, your Zerbis, your Thomas Franks, your Simeone Inzaghi's, even the Anges, all of these guys, they're not at clubs where they're spending money crazy anyway. So they're already used to being under a kind of restrictive budget. Now think about all the clubs that they all manage. They're all worse than Liverpool anyway. So I feel like they'd be able to come into this team where the level is already higher than what they're used to. So being able to understand and work under these kind of constraints, I feel like, again, it could go one of two ways. FSG might take the piss out of that and think, well, he's used to only getting 30 mil a summer. I might give him 40 mil just because then to him that'll be a big deal. Yes, I understand that. But on the flip side, they could then look at it and think, well, let's get in a manager who is used to not really working with big budgets but can do things. That's the only reason why I understand why people say Alonso, but he's not my choice to. Like, he's still a baby in this thing. I don't really want him.
I'll tell you why Alonso's my choice. Actually, let me just finish these up, and I'll tell you exactly why he's my choice. And I actually have smart reasons for it as well. So it's not just money. Big up to Messi FC who says, "Nah, blaming the book."
Hey, don't diss them therapy times, bro. Like, what do you mean? Like, those are the best times ever.
Does this ring any bells?
Yeah, listen.
Sorry, null and void now anyway, man. We might as well burn it. Like, this guy's like Rain. I mean, he done all this book. I guarantee you, thinking in his head, you know what? I'm gonna get that Liverpool job next, and he got.
But I was gonna say though, we've heard that before we get Sam talks about the managers. We have heard that he's leaving, but as Klopp said in the interview, they're free to go and manage and do whatever it is they want. Don't be surprised if you see him come in as Liverpool man. That's all I'm going to say. Just don't be surprised when you see that.
They announced they're all leaving, though. That's the thing.
I said he's leaving Liverpool as well.
I think Liverpool don't want him. I think what's happened is I think he's very ambitious. I think he's very ambitious, and I think he would want it. So I think if that was the case, they would have just said Pep Linders. They would have announced that Pep Linders off the bat, because it wouldn't have made it wouldn't have made a difference. The fact that he's leaving to me suggests that you know what, I want to be a manager now myself. I'm not trying to be a number two because Klopp isn't going to another team. It's not like he's bringing his staff with him. Klopp's finished. So he could have easily tried to stay and try to can I be the interim manager and see how I do for 6 months. And
possibly the club didn't want him. By the way, that's actually a smart point by Jerry. Possibly, maybe Liverpool didn't even want him. That's the thing.
Maybe that's clever. That's very smart. That's very smart.
Yeah, maybe the club would do it, but the club said no. Like 100%.
I mean, you've heard me say this. Yeah, you've heard me say this before on Spaces and stuff. Like, I always thought that Linders was being groomed to be the next manager.
That's what it looked like.
Like he does things
Satan!
like taking press conference. No, I know, but I'll jump to that was my thought, because it's been Liverpool's MO, right? You get Michael Edwards leaves, you bring in Julian Ward, who's his number 2. You know, there's a lot of promoting from within, and the fact that Linders takes press conferences, no other number 2 does that. Like, it just, for me, it kind of it made sense, in the sense that if you have all the pieces around and you move one piece out and you swap someone else in, the idea is that you keep the structure. Say, for example, Michael Edwards still the sporting director, and you have your scouts and your analytics people, and everybody else changes, and you move Jurgen Klopp out and you bring in Pep Linders. So there's a degree of continuity. Then, although Linders doesn't have the experience, the fact that you have the structure and everything else is the same, you minimise the amount of disruption. But because so much has changed, it makes the fact that if there ever was, and I don't know whether there was, that's what kind of made sense to me at some point. If there was a chance he was going to get the job, with the fact that the sporting director needs to change, there may be other changes going on. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
at this stage.
100%. There's too much to think.
The Pep Linders thing, though. Pep Linders is actually in charge of League Cup games. He picks the team. That's why he does the press conferences, because he picks the team.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing all of this for nothing, then.
He does the whole League Cup thing. It's mad. I don't get it, but it looks like he was going to be groomed at one time, but now he wants a fresh break. He wants to go
it definitely was. You don't release the book. You don't have this emphasis on everything. Klopp's not. Speaking in such high regards about in such high regards about his number 2 if it didn't mean something. And I think there was a plan for Linders. I think we were scouting in the Portuguese league, which Linders played in. He had a massive part in some of the players we signed. I think there was definitely an angle for Linders. I just think with Klopp announcing before the end of his contract, I don't think Liverpool are prepared to go and give Linders the squad now, especially in the situation that they're in now, because maybe they're just not confident in his experience to be able to go and do it at the highest level.
Oh, well, looks like he can't be here. Bye-bye.
I actually agree with G on that one right there. I'm so happy. That's one thing.
Bro, there was no one here would have ever wanted Pep Linders. Even if, obviously, if he did well, we would have been like, okay, he could do his thing. But from the jump, we wouldn't have all sat here and be like, oh, yeah, I would give him a chance. I didn't want it.
Graham Potter or Pep Linders?
Graham Potter.
Pep Linders for me. I can't lie to you.
Graham Potter is you're not real. You're not real. You're not real.
Of a goldfish in a fish tank. That guy cannot be Liverpool manager. Zero charisma. How do you sit as a grown-ass man doing this between your legs and smiling like you're fucking selling flowers in a back?
Nah, I'm taking Graham Potter still.
If we sign Graham Potter and Potter out the moment he walks in, I'm making a video titled Potter out directly if he was manager. I've had enough of his shit already. This guy, just looking at his face irritates me. He's just, where's your charisma, Yachi? Be a man. Be a man. Let's be positive. This new squad will win the league this season. Alonso will carry it on. I'm excited for the future. We're going to be talking about that as well. Craig Adams, this is the worst super chat ever, Yachi. Why you have to... I hope everyone's dad is healthy and happy and safely. But Craig, to answer your question, I don't want to read it out loud either.
What type of madness is that?
If God forbid I hear news like this, I'm booking flights. I'm going everywhere. I'm just gonna enjoy every single day and just spend as much time as possible. So, yeah.
Is he trying to compare?
I'd pull the plug because I haven't got time to wait. You know what I mean? I've got 3 months. I've got to move, man. I've got things to do.
Big up to Vikas, who says Klopp knew FG is incapable of finding a replacement if he leaves in the summer. That's why he made this public announcement in January. Fairs, Vikas, fairs. Big up to Uga Buga. What a name. Klopp said he won't coach another English team ever. Yep, I saw that. And I'm glad as well. And as G said, listen, Klopp don't have time for your bullshit. He ain't trying to go manage Arsenal or Man United or any of these clubs. Big up my Ugandan brother G.
Come on.
Big up to you, Marcia. Big up to Elburn, who says, so depressed, can't even run Tom Amorim jokes. The only reason why I don't want Ruben Amorim is just because I don't want Tom to be proven right in any way, shape, or form. So Yeah, big up to you.
That's a
guys.
good enough
He
reason.
was
That's a
just
good enough
a
reason for all of us.
I am the biggest hater of Tom Little on this planet. 100%. Big up to the football corner, my guy. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Saad, who says, apart from top right, you are all frauds. Big up to Jamie. And you're the biggest fraud here, Saad. You bozo. You get me? And speaking of frauds, funnily enough, to talk about the future and the last segment here of Liverpool, I hope his liver has been fucked by now. As my brother Ed Rin here says, Tom is killing brain cells and making new Liverpool kids. Big up to Connor Bradley, Bobby Clark, and all of Tom Little's children currently playing for Liverpool Football Club. So big up to him. He's actually arrived here.
I don't know who to go to first. I'm going to go to you, Tom, as Liverpool got smacked up today. What are you saying?
It's okay, Tom.
Jurgen, mate, I love you, but it's time to go. I think this is what it's come to. I don't think the players are buying into it anymore. I really don't, because I looked at that game beforehand. I looked at it and I thought, he's put out our best 11. He put out our best 11 that we had at the time. You know, we had the midfield, we had the attack.
Hold on. Oh.
Hi, Tom Little. Can you tell the people to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, so we can move on?
I don't know if I feel like that, you know. After what you've just done there, I don't know if I feel like it. I don't care. I don't really care if the people like the video or not. After that, I'm.
Hold on. So Tom went on the terrace, said all of this, but I'm still getting cooked in the whole day. The whole day I've been getting cooked. Tom went on the.
Let's back.
That's why you're next to Tom. You got all three of you bottom row. You're off for good reason.
Klopp's leaving because technically he agrees with Tom, right? That's what Klopp's told us.
Yeah, effectively.
He's leaving because he can't do it anymore.
He agreed with Tom just
Can't
a year
give
later.
100%.
What's different? He agreed a year later.
Maybe Tom just saw something that we didn't.
The Oracle. Who was that calling out last year?
Every time.
Who was that calling out last year to you know be the manager of the football club after Jurgen Klopp? Who was it? We ignored the Tuchel one. Who were the other two names that are through forward? Amorim.
Okay, listen. I want to discuss the Tuchel segment. Guys, this is the final segment now, so we want to talk about the future, and I want everyone in the chat to get involved. But as always, guys, you know the one thing I hate is when people say this or that. Today, everyone's on the hot seat now. Okay, you have to give me one name. First, before we do that, big up to Ryan, who says, if these players don't get Jurgen a Prem in his last season, I can't defend them. That includes Alisson, Virgil van Dijk, etc. He made them into ballers. I actually agree with that. And I said earlier on today on my stream, I was like, listen, I'm 100% on the players next this season. It's about you now. You deliver. I don't give a fuck if Klopp plays 2-3-5. Win the games and win the league. Full stop. Anyway, final segment. Liverpool's future manager. Where do we go from here? All that good stuff. Before we go there, listen, there's 520 people watching us even at this time on a Friday night. So big up to you guys. Love for the love. Love to all my super chatters. And we give you guys a massive shout out at the end. Also, you bunch of lazy bastards. All of these great guys, this channel is in the description. All your lazy ass has to do is just subscribe to every single channel that's in the description. You bunch of lazy bastards who can't go and search by yourself on YouTube. All you have to do is just click the link and it will take you to the channel. Rax don't have a channel, but he has a Twitter. And I plugged his Twitter in the thing. Raxing1. I still remember it. Can you imagine? Here, right here. My big up man like Rax. So, before we unpack everything, I'm going to go to every single one of you guys. Give me one name. You're not allowed to give, and more than one is not allowed. One name and one name only. Rax, give me one name.
Xabi Alonso.
Jamie.
Xabi Alonso.
Jerry.
Pep Linders.
No. You guys said Xabi Alonso, so I'll put another name forward.
Watch him go like Thomas Frank or something. Watch him go like Thomas Frank.
I've gone to Zerbi. I haven't gone to Frank. I've gone to Zerbi.
The Zerbi. Okay. G.
Thomas Frank. Yeah, he was my choice. Thomas Frank. He was my choice, bro. I can't lie. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. It wasn't any of these other guys. I can't lie, bro.
I'm gonna get you to explain that. Take a second.
Of course he can.
My boy Ruben Amorim, obviously.
We know what Tom's pick is.
So we've got essentially three Alonsos, one Amorim, one Thomas Frank, and one De Zerbi. That's what we got. Chat, Same question to you guys. Give me one name. I cannot believe someone said Inzaghi. You guys, you know the one that pissed me off the most today. One guy came in my chat earlier on. He was like Jose Mourinho. I was about to end the stream directly. I'm like, do you understand? Do you understand? Like, do you actually know who you support? Take me Jose Mourinho. I'll tell you why personally I want Xabi Alonso before we just open the floor up and get you guys' opinions. I think, but I want Xabi Alonso under one condition. He wins the league with Leverkusen.
No, but we can't do this if buts. If he doesn't win the league, then what do you do?
What has Thomas Frank won? The championship? Thank you very much.
But if he doesn't,
So anyway,
but if he doesn't win the league, hold on. If he doesn't win the league, he's in the same position as Thomas Frank.
I'll actually tell you.
He hasn't won anything.
Okay, primary choice. If he doesn't win the league, for me is Zidane. Zinedine Zidane. Bring me Zidane.
But these are unrealistic targets. Like, we're never gonna get something like Zidane anyway.
How's that unrealistic? We're Liverpool Football Club. Why you act like you support Brighton?
No, but you and I both know the context of some of these managers in why they would go to certain clubs. Even when Ancelotti went to Everton, he went there under the assumption, and obviously, as we saw, under the prefix of I'm going to spend a lot of money. Hence why I'm able to buy get the James Rodriguez's and all of these other players that he signed. Like, that was the prefix. Liverpool, we're not going to do that. Like, we're never ever going to spend the kind of money that he probably needs to do what he needs to do. Like, I don't feel like that's a realistic target.
For me, it needs to be a manager that fits the culture.
How do Liverpool, apart from the manager, how does Liverpool, okay, with the ownership, whether you like it or hate it or whatever, that's unlikely to change in the near future. So how does Liverpool get back to the top? Liverpool gets back to the top with re-establishing a similar structure, buying really well, assembling a solid squad, and having a manager who can harness all of that together, right? So I don't think Zidane works.
Who here
in
would
that
take Michael Edwards back? Just on that point, who's taking Michael Edwards?
I would absolutely take him back.
I mean, hasn't he got his own? Hasn't he got his own business now?
Yeah, then just hire the business out on a subcontract basis or something, man. Like, you just franchise it, whatever it is.
So what is it he's doing? What is it he's doing?
All right, fucking Dragon's Den over here. I didn't realise that was. I just thought he wasn't going to do it. I just thought he wasn't going to do it anymore.
I said Dragon's Den.
Sitting there going on about subcontracting and
Dragon's Den, that is
franchise.
the British version of Shark Tank, basically.
I think so.
Yeah, same thing. So basically, I forget the analytics guy. The analytics guy who left Liverpool. He started up his own consultancy, and Michael Edwards joined him as like.
Was it that Spearman
he doesn't own the company.
Spearman the one still with us?
No, Spearman's the one who stayed.
Right.
Spearman's the one who stayed. It's the guy who left. I forget his name now, but he basically started his own consultancy, bringing analytics to a wider range of clubs. And Michael Edwards, because he's obviously probably a bit more charismatic and he's got contacts in football, and he would have, as a sporting director, obviously he would have spoken to a lot of these clubs when he was sporting director of Liverpool. He's the contacts guy. He's I guess you could say to some extent, the business guy behind it. But he doesn't own the company as far as I'm aware. I think
back on the manager stuff, because I want to hear you guys' explanations. The other reason I want Xabi Alonso is his tactics heavily involved the right
Ian Graham was the name, Rax.
Ian Graham, yeah.
And the Gegenpress, isn't it, Hassan?
Yeah. Yes, and he gegenpresses. And this comes back to what I said an hour ago. What I do not want is someone to come and tell me phase 1, phase 2, none of this shit. We don't have time for this shit. Because when you've got Salah, Van Dijk, Trent, Alisson, Konate, with like even Szoboszlai is going to improve, even Gravenberch, all these guys, they're going to improve, obviously. Hopefully, Nunez starts to learn how to finish and shit like that. We don't have time for a manager to come in and go like, yo, I'm going to restructure this whole shit and I'm going to sell 10 guys and we're getting 10 guys in and we're going to change the whole way we do blah, blah, blah. Xabi Alonso still has similarities. The one thing I'll say about Xabi Alonso, and this is my final point I'll let you guys unpack everything with the managers. The biggest positive to Xabi Alonso is one thing that I think many people don't consider when they think about him. He has been a player under Rafael Benitez, Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, and Carlo Ancelotti. He was a player for all 4 managers. And we already know that players that become managers are influenced by who manages them. And that is, for me, like a massive thing. Like he factually worked for probably about 4 of the greatest managers of the modern era. So that plays a role. Tell me you guys' thoughts on Xabi Alonso.
This is why I want Alonso, yeah. So the reason I want Xabi Alonso, because I think it'll be a seamless transition between Jurgen and Xabi Alonso. because you're bringing a geezer in who basically knows the club, knows the city, knows what it has to be not a player there, but a manager as well at Liverpool Football Club. Also, I think he will have the backing of the majority of the Liverpool fan base from day one. You know, I think whoever else comes in, I think if Thomas Frank comes in, you go 50-50 fan base split down the middle. Anyone else who comes in is going to be, Zerbi. I think Alonso comes in. The way he plays is very similar. You know, I know he plays three at the back with wing backs, but they're attacking fullbacks, similar to how Liverpool used to play. You know, I think it's a seamless transition between the two people, and you don't have to go through, as Hassan just said, there are all these stage 1, stage 2s, and he'll just come in and go, right, I'm going to take over what Klopp left behind, do it my way a little bit, but the transition will be a bit more seamless. That's my opinion.
I don't know if he becomes manager. I just worry about the experience side of things. This is
well,
his first
Klopp
season.
had no experience when he took over Mainz, and look what happened.
Yeah, but
neither did Zidane. To be fair, if you're using Zidane, Zidane was at Real Madrid Castilla and came in as an interim manager and then did what he did.
Yeah.
So
I don't doubt that. But my point is,
neither did. It's like you can't pick out these individual. Like, Troy Deeney didn't have any managerial experience, and he lost 30 days at Forest Green Rovers. Like we can't pick a certain guy who does it in one club and then another guy who failed in another club, because we can all support our points with these kind of things, right? How's Troy Deeney ended up in this conversation? Anyway,
imagine Troy Deeney becomes Liverpool manager. Come on, man.
He's got the charisma. I can give you that.
He has the aura.
Look, I'm gonna make it a little bit more depressing now, right? But we also have to bear in mind the person who takes over is going to also have to oversee the departure of Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and probably Alisson. Because I
think you've got with Alisson, fuck it off. You've said this for ages now. I don't like it.
I know, but I just think look. I can understand Virgil getting to the end of the season next season and wanting a new challenge.
Play for another 5 years, no cap.
He could, but the reason why I say it is because I can understand why some of these guys, they get to the latter years of their career and then they want a new challenge. Look, if Alisson plays another 2 years at Liverpool and then he has the opportunity to maybe go to Barcelona or something like that, I can understand why he may want to do that. Like, because they're humans. These are human. Jurgen Klopp, one of the things we said at the start, like Jurgen Klopp, he felt he didn't have the energy anymore. Do you want Jurgen Klopp to stay manager when he doesn't have the energy? And he's done us a favour to some extent. He's done us a favour to some extent by identifying it, holding his hands up, coming forward and saying it. So I know people are sad about it, but the same thing, but in a slightly different context. I can understand why Virgil would look, you know what, maybe I go and play in Spain for a couple of years, see out my career. That's perfect. These guys are humans. They might want another challenge. And it certainly, I can't see any of them being here in 5 years. If we want the manager to be successful, then we need to be looking that far ahead.
Yeah, but that's why exactly the next appointment is the most important FSG's ever done.
Crucial. It's absolutely
because the club is in a good place now. Look, Jerry made a good point. G made a good point earlier when he said, okay, there's stuff off the pitch that we need to fix 100%. But this club is not like 2015 Liverpool, where Jurgen Klopp came in and changed the whole fucking thing. What I'm saying right now, okay, maybe we need to change 25% of the stuff. But what we cannot do is a whole ass rebuild where we have some guy come in and just change everything we do. That's the thing. The one thing I don't want.
It won't happen now. But I'm saying over the course of the next 3 to 4 years, I think all those guys will go.
I hear that. But for me, that's where I think it might change, because I think Klopp's influence was bigger than we could have ever imagined. I think when you compare it to when he came into by the time he's left, his hand and his obviously his imprint is on every facet of the club, from the academy, the way they want to go and play, to the under 18s director and the youth academy director. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I think when you're removing Klopp to bring in a new manager, he's going to have to go and put his own style onto that team. Now, it won't be a seamless transition, because we're not getting Pep Linders to come in, and it's not like Zidane was Klopp's number 2 and he's coming through. You're having to now bring in another manager. When you look at what even Alonso's done at Leverkusen, I know it's been a short time, but when you go and hear him speak, he speaks about the fact that they went and identified targets that will fit what he wants to do. If you hear about how the academy are playing, they're mirroring what the first team are doing. But Xabi Alonso has a proper hands-on approach to that. If you're bringing in a manager, it doesn't matter who it is, he's going to have to go and change the culture of the club to suit him, because at the end of the day, the team play in the image of the manager. And that's the problem. And I think if you look at, for example, Brighton as an example, Brighton are very different because they've got an internal structure and they look at managers that fit that. And when you look at how they operate, they can get rid of De Zerbi, bring someone else in, and they'll probably stay around the same level. They had it with Graham.
So tell me why you want De Zerbi, since you have the mic right now.
Why I like De Zerbi? The reason why I'd want De Zerbi, everyone knows I like the football. I think the football's really good, but it's the charismatic personality that he has. I think when you go and look at what Klopp really he had a good connection with the Liverpool fans and the Scousers in Liverpool because of the fact that he was charismatic, he was energetic, he was passionate. He was oozing out of him. And when he was at high energy and the high octane, and when we go back to those Barcelona nights, they epitomise what Klopp was. If you go back to Dortmund, it epitomises what Klopp was. De Zerbi for me is very, very similar. I think and I like Xabi Alonso, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but Xabi Alonso is very, very different. Very different. Zidane is very different. Bringing a Carlo Ancelotti as an example, hypothetically, is completely different. And they're so much more reserved. I don't know how that's such a stark contrast from what Liverpool fans and what the fan base know and what the culture of Liverpool is. I don't know how you can bring in a manager and expect him to fit into.
Don't you think De Zerbi would change too much though?
I think no. I don't think. I think he would change over. I think he would change a lot. I think they don't play a similar style, so I think straight away the use of the academy has to be incorporated because he's not going to get loads of funds. So the academy are going to have to start to play the way De Zerbi wants to play. And from what I've heard in documentaries, podcasts, and when I've heard him speak and former players talking about it, he's very meticulous in how he wants to do everything. It's no, I want you standing 2 centimeters to that left because you need to receive the ball there. When you're so hands-on, that's going to be a process. You can't just come in and expect to go and win straight off the bounce. And I think that's where Liverpool are going to be at a crossroads, because if Klopp does win like the Premier League this season, I don't think any fan is going to be willing to go and wait another 4 years for Liverpool to go and win something after knowing that this squad's been able to.
Well, that's how long it takes De Zerbi.
What I'll say about De Zerbi is that I've heard journalists say that Pep is influenced by the way De Zerbi plays. Like he's opened Pep's eyes to some extent to some of the possibilities.
So is Bielsa. I'm not taking Bielsa.
Oh yeah, of course. But Bielsa is almost like foundational, just like Cruyff was. Whereas De Zerbi is considered by many to be the next evolution of the game. Whether that happens,
but Rax, let me tell you the problem with the De Zerbi thing. The only manager to beat Pep Guardiola to a league title over the last 5 years is someone who plays his own style. I don't care if it's not Xabi Alonso, but I want someone who plays his own shit. Like, I feel like you can never beat Pep at Pep ball, because Pep will always do Pep ball better than anyone else.
I don't think he does Pep ball, but that's what I think. I don't think he does Pep ball. I think there are similarities in terms of their principles of how they want to go and play. But I think when you go and look at De Zerbi, it's a completely different. It's a different way they want to progress through the thirds. The fact that the centre backs stand on the ball and wait for pressure and roll the ball backwards and attract pressure onto them is completely different to what Pep was doing. Pep wasn't doing
also,
that. And I think
Pep has evolved. Pep at Barcelona is nothing like Pep at Man City.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Look at the way. Yeah, so football evolves, right? Football changes, and if De Zerbi is one of the great next thinkers in football, then he's definitely not a bad shout. He'd definitely be in my top 3 choices.
I just don't think he'll start. I'm very much a passion merchant. I'm very much one of those type of fans. I don't think his style of football would resonate very well with a lot of people, because Liverpool is very much a hectic sort of football club. Even when you look at the success we've had, it's been counter-attacking, it's been hectic. I don't think that there will be as much patience.
The football under Rafa. I mean, look, there were great
football under
moments.
Rafa was
the football under
counter-attacking
Rafa and Houllier wasn't. Yeah, but a lot of it was also very defensive.
Also, Benitez lost us the league.
Yeah, but there is a different Rax. There is a difference between defensive. There's a difference between defensive and the way De Zerbi plays and the way that Pep plays. The reason why I don't think those managers would necessarily work out as well at Liverpool would be, it's just it's fucking boring.
It's boring watching them go back and forth.
But that's what I'm saying. So I hear what you're saying about the fans, but that's obviously subjective, isn't it? In terms of what's boring for me, watching at times Liverpool, I find it boring because I don't like not having control. But we view the game differently. So when I look at City, I'm like, oh my god, this looks amazing. Whereas to someone else, they're looking at it thinking, this is just boring. You're trying to pass.
I had my best nap this season after a City game. I slept 5 hours.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So for me,
fucking Virgil van Dijk 350 passes average. Like I'll fall asleep.
I think the error that Liverpool could make is trying to go and bring in a manager that is going to try to emulate somewhat what Klopp's done in terms of being this. I think that's the wrong direction to go in, because essentially what you're doing is trying to replace Klopp, and you can't do. And I think you need to transition away from that now. I think Klopp's had his time and it's great. But we need, if we're changing direction, we need to change direction and go into a positive note. If you bring in someone that's going to try and resonate or copy what Klopp's done to a certain extent, or try to move that forward, if that doesn't work, you're copying someone. And Brendan Rodgers was the one that is a great example of that. He used to go to the Camp and write a 200-page flipping essay on how Barca use tiki-taka and try to implement it. You're a pretender. You haven't got your own ideas. Now, I'm not saying. By the way, I'm not saying Xabi Alonso doesn't have his own ideas, but just the idea of bringing in a manager that's going to be very similar to Klopp, I think is a dangerous direction, because I don't think you can replace him like directly.
Why are you wearing a Madrid kit, you fucking wool? I'm more Scouse than you. I hope you know this. The only thing you have is the
It's a Xabi Alonso kit.
I'm literally more Scouse than you. Man's wearing a Madrid shirt. Are you wearing our abuser shirt?
It's an Alonso shirt. I've just shown you.
Fucking fraud. Okay, Tom, before we go to you, I want to hear the explanation for Thomas Frank, because I think this one is going to be the best one. Big up to Mo as well for the raid. Make sure to subscribe to him, subscribe to Staffy TV in the chat, subscribe to It's LB as well. And as I said, all these great guys, they've given us their time today on a very sad day for 3 of us on the stream, to join in. So make sure, guys, go subscribe to their channels. All of the channels are in the description. G, don't even try, Tom. Don't even try. I'll play the clip again. G, Thomas Frank, explain it. Explain.
Listen, all the other managers that everyone's named, I'm with all of them, to be honest with you. The Xabi Alonso's, I'm with it. The Zerbi, I'm with it. Zidane, I'd be with it if I knew the club, if we were in that type of space. I'm with all of these kind of managers. I just like I would have gone for the Zerbi instead, but I like Thomas Frank. If you actually spent time listening to the way he speaks about the game, the tactical element, the way his team actually plays. Bearing in mind, Brentford have got dead ballers like in most areas of the pitch, but he isn't actually a bad manager. Watch Brentford play. I promise you, you will understand that they are actually a good footballing team. But for me, it's more about the principles of him. The principles of him is the same thing that when I see with Klopp, he has his own principles. So that's why I agree with Jerry about this whole moving away from what Klopp does, trying to basically emulate him. With someone like Thomas Frank, he's got his own principles on how things need to be done from top to bottom. Brentford have got that, the B team, or I think they change it now to the under 20, whatever it is. Yeah, he was a very big part of that, and in the way when how he funnels players from that into obviously trying to get them into that, first team, the type of players that he goes and signs. Again, he's a manager of Brentford Football Club. So, of course, the quality is absolutely going to be nowhere near Liverpool's, but it's the principles on and off the pitch. This guy is all about football, but he's also all about the city, the passion, trying to be one with man manager. Like, he's got that in abundance, and he's shown. Now, I'm not saying that this player is of crazy, world-class status, but being able to manage someone like Ivan Toney, who's very outspoken, the best player on the team, and things like that. Again, that's just one player, so I'm not going to sit here and say he's got masses of evidence of that.
Managed him, though? Has he? Because
he has to listen, bro. Hussam, he has to have. Clearly, he's managed him in a way that Tony's been able to come into this football league, and even throughout this whole time that we all know Tony's trying to bounce, he's still been able to get the best out of this player, to the fact that Tony came back from bloody betting and was made captain and scored in that same game. You know the relationship that you need to have with this person in order for you to be. Remember, you're the manager. You're the one who named him captain. So everyone else around the club has definitely got to look at you and think, right, what's he doing? But they're not going to do that because they trust in his own decision making. And that's why I look at someone, like a Thomas Frank. Again, he's not really my first choice, but he is a choice for me, my top three, where I'm like, out of everyone that we've all named.
The two best run clubs, pound for pound, in this league are Brighton and Brentford. If you look at historically,
exactly. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Historically, where they've come from, Brighton have been languishing in the third and fourth tiers of the English football for decades. Brentford have come from nowhere. They set up the way they approach football, their stats based analysis,
new stadium,
all of that stuff. They've built this up over a period of about 10 to 15 years. Like anyone who knows about the guys from StatsBomb, one of the guys there, he used to work at Brentford. The stuff they've been putting in place has been put in place not just like from nowhere. They've been put in place for these are exceptionally well-run clubs. Thomas Frank is an exceptional manager, especially because, like everything that G said, absolutely correct. And also he's very involved. He brings everybody. He's the kind of manager like Klopp who would be open to having a discussion with a director of football, with the scouts. He'll bring everyone together. So look, he doesn't have the managerial track record that someone like Jurgen Klopp has. Of course, he hasn't won anything.
But this is the thing.
The human qualities, I think he potentially does have, but I don't know if.
But no, again, one, I'm not going to say he's my top choice, but again, none of these guys do. Xabi Alonso got no track record.
Exactly.
What's he done?
Exactly.
The Zerbi ain't got no track record. In fact, the only option that we've all said is actually what Tom said, which is Amorim is the only one who actually comes with a somewhat track record. In terms of someone who's actually been somewhere, exactly, that he's actually won things. Everyone else, and that's why Hussam mentioned earlier on about on the one condition he only comes if he wins the Bundesliga kind of thing. Heck, he can still win the Europa League, by the way. Let's not forget that. But the reality is, all of these guys we're talking about them taking over Klopp. Like there is no again. Pep and Klopp, that's about it. Everyone else, they're all fighting to be meedy. That's all they're doing. They're just fighting to be the next meedy kind of guy. So it's not.
There's a leap of faith. Whoever you choose, there's a leap of faith required to say that this guy's going to be the guy, because we don't know. There's just not
it's difficult.
Thomas Frank just reminds me of us just employing Brendan Rodgers again. That's all that reminds me.
It's not the same, man.
You're talking about Brendan. Remember, we're talking about Brendan Rodgers.
He copied Pep.
Brendan Rodgers played fantastic football as well.
No. But again, let's take context into all of what we're saying anyway. Remember, Brendan Rodgers, regardless of the way he was playing sick football or whatever for Swansea and all of that kind of stuff, he came into a Liverpool team who were literally in the mud under fucking Kenny Dalglish, and then obviously had his period of time. Thomas Frank isn't coming into a team that's in the mud and he's going to come in and try and impose his ideas. Like, he's coming into a sick team, so all he's really doing is literally just imposing his own ideology. Again, I'm not saying he's the best choice. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but he is a choice I think that people will overlook, because you're like, oh, but he manages Brentford. But if man told you tomorrow, yeah, we can swap Nunes for Ivan Toney, everyone will be jumping up and down and saying, yeah, he's playing for Brentford.
I wouldn't swap them.
Most people would swap Nunes and Toney.
I wouldn't swap.
I'd make that swap still. Like, I like you.
Exactly. But hold on, you'd make that swap, but these times he's playing for Brentford. That's mad.
Imagine that's what Tony's waiting for. He's not moving in January because he already knows Thomas Frank's told him, hey, he's coming in the summer. You're coming with me.
I really don't. I'd rather be Zerbi the hipster for me over Thomas Frank. Like, I like what Thomas Frank does, but I think the step up is too big. I feel like
Amorim time?
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Alonso then over Thomas Frank.
No, but hear my condition. If he wins the league with Leverkusen.
Okay, Hussam, let's say he doesn't win the league. Now what do you say?
He doesn't win the league, so that means it's Amorim and De Zerbi. That's it. Those are your only options on the table. Is it?
Because then you can't pick Alonso, because Alonso ain't got no pedigree. He's coming here just.
He'll go to Zerbi to spite me. He'll go to Zerbi to spite me.
Yeah, of course he will.
I don't want you to be right, though. Like, that's the most disgusting thing I have to deal with for the rest of my life.
He knows I'm right.
Because you're right 1 out of 10 times, and that one time you never shut the fuck up. That's the problem. So that one time you're right, keep reminding me of it.
But I'm right here. If Alonso wins the league, it can be a different argument. If Alonso wins the league, it can be a different argument. Right now, I need someone who can come in,
Can you come closer to your mic first?
I need someone who can come in. There you go. Someone who can come in with carry over a number of elements from the Klopp squad, but put their own twist on it. Very good charisma, very good personality, and knows how to win. Because whether or not we like it, this squad should be good enough to win. I don't want to bring in a project manager with a squad that we expected when Klopp was here to win titles. You expect that, not because Jurgen Klopp is a miracle worker, that is part of it, but partly because you've got a squad that can win a title. I don't want to bring in a manager and then run the rest of this time out while he settles into his project now. I want someone who can come in and can do both at the same time. Ruben Amorim is the only manager so far who has actually won anything meaningful. He's won 3 cups. He won them back to back to back. He won them back to back to back at 2 separate clubs. He effectively won the Portuguese FA Cup at fucking Swansea. Sorry, not Swansea, at Leicester. Then, the year after, when he moved to Liverpool.
The level of disrespect to Sporting Braga. Don't respect Braga like that.
That's why I went
Don't
Leicester.
call Braga Leicester. Braga ain't Leicester.
You'll know more about Amorim then, yeah? Few questions. First of all, does Amorim speak English? Because if he doesn't, that goes out of the water for me. I don't need a translator. I don't need another Bielsa situation.
I think I don't know.
Portuguese. But Portuguese, a lot of Portuguese people speak English because I think Portuguese.
And secondly,
Thomas Frank can speak fluent English. By the way,
I've seen what he's done.
Hey, Xabi Alonso speaks 5 languages. If you want to play this game,
does Amorim have the charisma to go and connect with the Liverpool fans, or is he okay? Yeah, like I said, I don't know.
Amorim is a very.
There's no point debating.
He's a very charismatic man.
Xabi Alonso. So
it's going to be Alonso, but I just want it to be out there. I want it to be out there in the public. Amorim is the best man. He's the best out of the job. And you know, I'm not bothered about the fact that he plays a back 5. This idea that we can't have anyone who plays back 5. What do you mean you can't have anyone who plays a back 5?
All the managers we named all played 3 or 5 at the back, so it doesn't even make
sense. There has to be an element of change in terms of an evolution of the football club.
Klopp himself changed. Klopp at Dortmund was a 4-2-3-1 guy, right? He came here. Obviously, it's not quite the same degree of change, but change isn't a bad thing.
Football evolves. Any back 5 now is just a 3-2-5 in build-up. That's all it is. That's how all the fucking people want to look at it.
Tactical. Talk to me about field tilt. Have some shame, man.
Lad, field tilt.
Why are you like this?
Amorim is the only manager who's actually proven he can win stuff under the constraints of a budget as well. I've done my research on this today. I want you to bear in mind that this man took a Sporting side that was languishing in mid-table, struggling to get going, at that Portuguese league at the time. Benfica and Porto were flying. Even though the Amorim got Braga.
Sorry, I asked if he can because I didn't know. What do you want me to do? Just waffle and say he doesn't or does?
Joe is the Leeds fan, so he took the Bielsa stuff personally. He loves Bielsa. Joe has Bielsa posters. Big up to you, Joe. Big up to you.
So Bielsa sat on a bucket. What are we doing?
Under the constraints he's worked at Sporting, Ruben Amorim, he's won a league title.
To be fair.
He's won a league title and he's won 2 cups.
I don't think anybody's going to get Nunes to score goals. You can just forget that one.
He's won a league title and 2 cups. 2 cups because he won 1 at Braga. So he won a league title and 2 cups at Sporting. He's currently top of the league with Sporting. Got the 2 best players in the league, arguably, in Victor Gyökeres and Pedro Gonçalves on form this season. And he's done all this whilst making a net £200 million profit over the last 4 years. A net 200 million. John Henry he's probably too old to get them now. But if he was old enough, John Henry would get a fucking hard on reading that. £200 million profit and still winning stuff.
I've got one here in it. Probably, yeah.
200 million quid profit. All he's done is recycle players. He's found these gems. Now, if you can push that up to a bigger budget, his record signing is Victor Gyökeres for €20 million. If we can just double that budget for an average signing and he can keep finding these gems and he can keep working it with a better squad, the man is for me the unanimous best option. I understand why people want Alonso.
Unanimous, you're the only one who voted for him.
But
unanimous 1 out of 6. By which standards?
Know about Amorim. People don't know about Amorim. The ultimate point
you
is
know about Amorim. You think he's the only one with a TV? I want Xabi Alonso personally. That's what I want.
Alonso is a gamble. Alonso's a massive gamble. And even you said yourself, you don't really want Alonso if he doesn't win the league this year.
Alonso's a gamble, but Amorim isn't.
Amorim's a more stable choice.
Based on
I feel like it's going to be Zerbi, you know. I actually think it's going to be Zerbi.
I think
worrying.
I've got a strong feeling it's going to be Zerbi. I think when you
I think it's going to be Zerbi.
Do we have to stop worrying about?
I mean, I'm not. To be fair, I'm not fussed with any of them though. It could be Amorim, Xabi Alonso, Zerbi, Thomas Frank. For me, it's all the same.
I just want to see something new, so I'm good with whoever.
We're not getting Carlo Ancelotti, so it's just at this point it is what it is. Just enjoy the ride.
All of those guys with the right structure, all of those guys with the right structure potentially can do a really good job.
Nagelsmann is so overrated. I'm never taking him.
So the critical thing is, if all of those guys can do a good job with the right structure, the next question is we need to make sure we have the structure right. Because if that happens, then whether we have, I don't know as much about Amorim. If Tom says that, then I'll take his word for it. But what I know, Xabi Alonso,
that's mad.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that I will agree. I will just say I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen and learn.
Max, you worked for Tom for over 3-4 years now. He's been sucking off Amorim for the last year and a half, and you're taking off his word for it. You know he's going to exaggerate all the good shit he does.
You do realize when I want about you, Ruben Amorim being charismatic.
The Portuguese league last season, we wouldn't know because we don't watch the Portuguese league. How would we know?
No, he came fourth last year in the Portuguese league.
Oh, coming fourth from Sporting Lisbon.
I've got a question. I've got a question for everyone.
You do realize last season his team made £150 million profit, and he was allowed to buy fuck all, and they sold off his best players.
Big up Tom Little, the accountant. Are you signing a banker or a manager?
No, I'm just saying you can't judge him when he's given fuck all to work with.
Jamie, what's your question?
I was going to say, how many managers did Liverpool go through in the next 5 years?
1.
5 years.
How many?
What?
One. How many? What?
How many managers?
How many managers did Liverpool go through in the next 5 years?
Typically, we're not a club that sacks people. Even under FSG, where we haven't really sacked that many people, to be fair.
I just feel like
we've sacked every manager. You've sacked every manager but Klopp.
At home. Yeah,
but Rodgers, if we're being real, Rodgers had 3 years. 3 years and some change, actually. And
was that 3 years? Flipping out, felt like it was time.
No, it was 3 years and a couple of months.
3 years. Three and a bit. The first season was shit.
That's what I just said. 3 years and some change. He had
12-13. He had 2012-13. He had 13-14. He had 14-15, and he had until October 15-16.
Dalglish got 2 years and some change.
Dalglish got 2.5 years, and Hodgson
and then Klopp stayed the
got 3 months.
Dalglish was here for 2 years. That was the deadest time, man. That and Rodgers.
No. Dalglish was only a year and a half. It was a year and a half because he took over from Hodgson.
He took over Hodgson and then had the next season after that.
Dalglish came in January 2011 and got sacked in July 2012. So
after he won the Carabao Cup.
Quick question, hypothetically. If Liverpool decide to go down the very sentimental route and hire Gerrard, what do you think the reaction of the fan base will be?
I top myself. You will never see me on a stream again. I top myself. That's what happens. If we hire the man who made Aston Villa look like fucking relegation candidates just for the fucking Spanish waiter to come in and turn them into title challengers, what has gone on there?
The thing is, when Gerrard left Celtic, Rangers, sorry.
I will never say Steven Gerrard out, even if he loses 10 games in a row.
What I want to.
But the issue is what I never understood is why he chose to go to Aston Villa. Like realistically, I'm not sure what he could have chosen. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, the new guy's done a great job, but I don't think anybody could see at that time Steven Gerrard coming to England and going and getting into the Champions League, for example. He should have gone to somewhere like a Leverkusen. And then got them to the Champions League. But the problem is he's probably got the English mentality. And
exactly. Exactly.
And that's a sad thing, because if he would have been brave and maybe gone to a Germany, but I'm not sure how good Xabi Alonso's English is. Whenever I see him speaking on the training pitch and stuff, he seems to be speaking English, even though he's in Germany. So
in Germany, speak a lot of English because of the
and Xabi Alonso speaks German, English, Spanish, Catalan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does Thomas Frank only speak one language? I mean,
Catalan.
Thomas Frank definitely speaks a couple languages.
He speaks Danish. Can you find me a Danish player at Liverpool? Just saying.
Bro, I don't need a Danish player.
You know what this Sam wants Xabi Alonso spraying passes to Salah, like in training. Like, Trent, I need you to do it a bit like this.
Salah ain't going to be here. Salah ain't going to be here.
He's not. He's going to be a Lisa, isn't it?
Because of what I said earlier, I look at the way he plays football and I'm like, you know what? It's not like Klopp. It's not even similar, but at least you could see some similarities, like using the fullbacks, gegenpressing, shit like that. So it's not like, you know, he'd have to just change everything, to be fair. That's the one positive about Xabi Alonso. But anyway, listen, it's almost approaching 2 hours now. I don't want to keep the guys for too long. So let me just read the super chats before we wrap up. The future is all of Tom's kids, says Ed.
Okay, no. Tom, you're never going to live
this agenda. Okay. This is a mad agenda, Ed. Big up to you, though. Thank you for the super chat. Tom still pushing this Portuguese Brendan Rodgers prop. Find some shame. Get me Xabi. Now it's the Zerbi crap as well. And Pep Linders can hold that, says Ryan.
So you're wanting to fuck off the only manager who's actually won a trophy. Well done. And then you'll cry when the manager who hasn't won a trophy comes in, struggles to win a trophy, and you'll go, why are we shit? Why are we not winning trophies? What are we doing here, Ryan?
Listen, I agree with you on him being the Portuguese Brendan Rodgers. I agree with you. But look, I'm just taking Xabi. Get me Xabi. Jurgen, mate. Now it's time for Gerrard, mate. Hey, I don't want that. Dirishan, you're such a fraud. Listen, I'm not going to say anything bad about Gerrard. That's my legend right there. Big up Stevie G. Big up to selection. Says Alonso plays more attractive football. So I hear it. Coach is a better build-up than Klopp too. That being said, De Zerbi is the chosen one. Future's voice. Yeah, the hipster's favorite, Mr. Hipster Selection. You've been on De Zerbi's nuts for the last 2 years now, the selection. For a long time.
But don't you think, if you're saying that he's been on his nuts for the last 2 years, it can't even be a hipster choice anymore? Because hipster choice is like, if someone was like Unai Emery, for example, we know he's a good manager, but now he's like a flavor of the month kind of thing. Everyone thinks it's this, that, and whatever. No, but you know what I mean? It just in terms of people like talking about it. But De Zerbi, we've been talking about this guy now since he joined Brighton, and we've seen what he's done for Brighton in terms of getting them obviously into the Europa League. Then being in the Europa League and then going through to the next round of we can't ignore these things. But I hear you with Xabi Alonso. If he does win that Bundesliga, it will probably push him higher to that top of the list, you know. But if he doesn't, I don't want him.
Let's say right now, G, you're at a 6 out of 10 with Alonso, right? If he wins the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen, it should become 10 out of 10 because he stopped the Bayern thing. Like stopping the Bayern thing is a thing now. Because it's been 10 years.
I still wouldn't even give him a 10 out of 10 just because
it's one league title in like a
even
time of management, though.
That's I don't mind. It's just one league title. It's just
winning it with Leverkusen, you know. Rax, Jamie, you guys as well.
But they got good players, you know. Everyone's acting like Leverkusen got some dusty players, you know. They got some good players in that team.
Winning Leverkusen is big. It's big, but we haven't seen him. We haven't seen how he can operate whilst being in the Champions League as well. We haven't seen him with multiple. There's still a lot of question marks. It's like if Arteta won the league last year, would we say Arteta's one of the best managers in the world?
Yeah, but we ain't seen this. We wouldn't.
But this again, this goes back to the whole point. Like none of these guys are going to have a perfect.
Exactly.
You know, so there's an element.
But we're acting like Klopp had a perfect. He was just coming off the back of losing a Champions League final and then came to Liverpool and carried on losing finals. Like, let's not act like Klopp came in here and he was Teflon when he joined the football club. Like, he had problems.
But he had a degree of pedigree that none of these guys have got.
If Xabi Alonso wins the Bundesliga title, then all Klopp would have had over him at the time is one more league title. That's it. He had nothing else like where you could be like, oh man, you know what? Klopp was so far superior. It's only one more. It's only would have been one more Bundesliga.
But that's true. If you look at ones and zeros, if you look at one trophy or zero trophies, sure, I'll give it to you. But if you look at the fact that he was the highest regarded manager in the world, or one of the highest regarded managers in the world, he got to a Champions League final. He had that charisma. He'd been a manager at that point for 7 years at Mainz and 7 years at Dortmund. So he had 14 years of managerial experience behind him. So,
to be fair, Klopp was the hipster manager as well, but with trophies.
Of course he was. Of course he was. He was the hipster guy. So.
I still remember, I'm gonna be real with you. When he was Dortmund manager, I still remember when Dortmund were kind of everyone's second team and shit. Like he also made, he did help Dortmund out a lot. To be fair, that's why they love him so much. But yeah, big up to you, selection. Look, I wouldn't complain if we get Zerbi. My complaint managers, and I'd be him out directly, is like Potter, Mourinho. These type of guys, like Potter specifically. Listen,
agree.
I've already said before, if Potter becomes Liverpool manager the day he gets the job, I'm him out directly.
How about
in America? There's Allegri. Hey, that's a good shout, but I feel like he's expired a little bit. So.
He's expired, man. He's expired. Trust, man. You don't want Allegri. You don't want Allegri, man.
He's expired. He's a dinosaur. He's a dinosaur.
Yeah, I ain't trying to see that.
Guys, by the way, Jamie Phillips has got to go right now. Big up to you, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us. His channel is in the description as well. Thank you so much for coming in, my brother. I appreciate you.
Penny's literally just come home for the first time in 30 days from the hospital, so she's just walking through the door.
Love. Family comes first, Jamie.
I'm going to go, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all.
Big up, bro.
Thank you so much. Look, we won't stay for too long anyway. Just 2 super chats before we wrap up. And American coaches who follow great managers who have won so much and done great things most times fail. And it's usually the next guy after that steadied the ship. That's actually a fair point because I'm thinking about it now. Who really came in after like a great manager and succeeded straight away? Who was the manager after?
The guy after Barcelona.
Tito,
the one who died. Well. Yeah, the guy who had the cancer thing.
Cancer, yeah.
Well.
I mean, we had a history of managers doing well after,
and even before, and even before him, even before Pep, Rijkaard won the Champions League and won the league. So actually, Barcelona had a succession of managers who did pretty well. They died down a bit.
Who came in after Zidane? Was it Ancelotti?
Yes, it was Ancelotti, Zidane, then Ancelotti again.
Spanish national team manager, Lopetegui. Yeah,
Lopetegui.
No, I just look at Liverpool. We had a long history of it for a number of years, albeit that structure's been and gone. But football is a very different sport to American sports. It's a very different environment. Stuff is a lot more volatile in football.
It was like American sports, we'd be drafting you this season, so it wouldn't be really working out for us.
Especially after winning.
Sorry for trying to come on and have a grown-up conversation, people.
I can't even joke anymore, Tom. Can't even joke anymore, Tom. Big up to you, Ed. Thank you so much for the super chat. You know what it is? I feel like we might actually get Amorim now, and it irritates my soul that Tom actually got something right. It actually just annoys the fuck out of me. I just hope we don't get Amorim just because I know you, Tom. If I never met you, I wouldn't mind Amorim. It's just the fact that it's you. I just have to
So you understand that he's probably one of the best candidates for the job in terms of CV, in terms of play style, in terms of as a manager.
Jay said it earlier on. I'm not mad at Xabi Alonso. I'm not mad at Amorim. I'm not mad at Zerbi. I can be mad at it. I already said the ones I'm mad at. But in terms of preference and just kind of carrying on what Klopp does / improving on it, working on it, I think Xabi Alonso makes the most sense, even stylistically. That's
I mean,
okay.
If I really wanted to be a little stat man, the closest manager who fits Jurgen Klopp's, them grid things that they do, where it's like, the pie chart things.
Yeah.
The closest manager who fits that is Ruben Amorim. Alonso misses in a couple of things.
This is the guy that fits him the most.
Pep Linder's neck Nimjin did not get anywhere close to that, I'm afraid.
Hey, big up to them.
No, thinking. I think it's gonna. I've got a feeling it's gonna be the Zerbi. Like when he said it, I was like, you know what? It just.
You know why it will be him? Because Liverpool have been looking at the Zerbi for. I was reading something the other day, but they've been looking at him for time.
And the fact and the fact that Chris Bascombe, Paul Joyce, I think the Athletic as well, have all gone and said the 2 top candidates are Xabi Alonso and De Zerbi. suggests to me that they're looking at Zerbi because Xabi Alonso is the popular choice right now and the obvious kind of Liverpool connection.
But I think Xabi Alonso wants to stay. I was reading something today that he actually wants to stay one more year anyway at Bayern Leverkusen.
Yeah, maybe so, but the fact that they put them at the top of the shortlist, it kind of suggests to me that Liverpool are looking in that direction because it's like, all right, Xabi Alonso.
I think if Liverpool come calling,
Zerbi is the, as Brack said, he's the new guy on the block. He ain't won anything, but we can't do anything unless we go and get Ancelotti or Simeone or Mourinho. None of these managers have won anything.
I'll be honest with you. If all realism is pushed to the side and I can get anyone, I'm getting Zidane. That's the one guy, because I know, he could look Van Dijk, Salah, Trent, and Alisson in the eyes and go do this, and they'll do it, type thing. Because he'll already command the respect.
But do you think tactically he's good enough?
Yes,
that's what I worry about him. Is he good tactically?
Yeah, but you can't win 3 Champions Leagues back to back without having any tactics.
I'm not saying he doesn't have any tactics.
No, not saying. But tournament football is different, and when you look at the spine of that Real Madrid team, with Ronaldo in there, with Benzema, with Modric, with Cruz,
Jerry, would you take 3 Champions Leagues in a row now?
No, of course we take it, but can you replicate that with Nunes and McAllister and Endo and you know?
To be fair, Benzema was a meme before Zidane. They were waving the white flag. Remember when he was linked? He was linked to Arsenal.
No. They weren't waving the white flag.
I mean,
hold on. Is everyone
technically speaking, Karim Benzema's worst year of his career came under Zinedine Zidane, the 17-18 season when he got 5 league goals.
There you are.
Hold on, what? Zidane can't speak English?
Can you tell me Benzema's year under Amorim?
I can tell you Victor Gyökeres though.
Exactly. Gyökeres.
He's on fire,
Gyökeres just before coming on as well. You nerd. With Klopp leaving, does it mean Salah will go? I don't think it means Salah will go. To be honest with you, I don't think it's necessarily linked like that. It's not like Klopp's Salah's dad or something. Big up to another who says Tiki Taka is not for us. For me, Luis Enrique is a no.
I like Luis Enrique, but
is that PSG though? Why would we take him from PSG?
If we get Enrique, I wouldn't moan type thing.
Yeah, like what Hassam's saying is right. Like, there's all of these managers. I just want to moan. There's no manager that I'm really gonna be like, oh fuck him. Like, I don't want him. Only like Pep Linders or something. I'll be like, nah, I don't want that.
No, but we have to just wait and see. Like whoever it is, we're in a situation now where it's not. Do you know what I mean? When we were hiring Klopp and we had Ancelotti and Klopp to pick from, there's nothing out there. So anyone we sign,
you're right, Loki.
It might not work.
The manager market stinks right now anyway.
It's like the striker market, man. This is dusty, bro. So dusty.
Yeah. It's just these 3 we've probably spoken about. That's probably the best available right now, to be fair. So, yeah. And finally, Ed here says, Xabi has a clause in his contract to leave to coach any team he used to play for. This is true. I actually found this out today, G. Jerry, because you guys brought this up. Xabi Alonso in his contract at Bayer Leverkusen, he has it written down.
It's not written down. It's not written down. It's a verbal clause.
Gentleman's agreement.
It's a verbal.
There's no way
it's
he's
a
got
verbal agreement.
Clause in a
that would be a mad clause.
Saying any team I've played for, I can
I can't even explain it. Let me explain it. He has, whether it's a verbal agreement or whether it's written down. Listen, tomato. Point is,
they're 2 different things, bro. There's 2 different things. There are 2. A verbal agreement is like me telling Jerry, "Nah, I'll pay you back that 200, bro. Like after the stream, I'll give you back that money." If it's written down, I have to give Jerry that money at the end of the stream. Like there's no 2 ways about it. Otherwise, all legal problems are gonna happen to me, bro. Nah, it's 2 different things.
I heard it was on the verge of winning the league, and what Liverpool come to him now and say, actually, Klopp wants to leave tomorrow. You need to come. He's not coming. He's not leaving.
Why hasn't anyone said Hansi Flick? By the way, like I found that interesting that no one mentioned.
I don't want any Germans.
I've
had enough of them.
Yeah, I'm tired of the Germans too. Yeah, I'm tired of them.
I was going to bring this up because when this discussion was happening around this time last season, and obviously the Klopp's stock was kind of a little bit low. The 2 names that were coming off on this channel were a certain Hansi Flick and a certain Luis Enrique. But it shows how quickly it also shows how quickly like things can turn around, right? Because obviously,
new information comes new German game.
And of course. And I, at the time, I was saying, what's it called? If I had to choose somebody to take over, I was naming Nagelsmann.
Hell no.
So
I ain't giving Jerry no £200. Verbal, all written down. He gonna have to wait.
Nagelsmann.
Listen, I don't know, Hansi Flick, like obviously opinions changed after the German job, after the Bayern 6-2 we were all sat here going like, yo, this Hansi Flick guy cooks, but hey, it is what it is. As Rax says, sometimes opinions do change. But look, we're going to be wrapping it up here,
I
guys.
just want to get something out real quick.
Yes.
Just want to get something out real quick.
Yes.
You do realise Ruben Amorim is 3 years younger than Xabi Alonso?
Who cares? I don't care about his age. I don't care.
So he's more experienced. He's one
The
more.
way you said it, like as if he's a player, and I'm like, oh, right, like he's 30 years old. The age ain't gonna really matter.
Yeah.
He's got more experience than Xabi Alonso.
Amorim's
That's the thing. Like he's about to drop something so important. Like,
I thought it was like something crazy. Like
it's gonna be like, no, why did no one talk about this guy replacing it? And he's like, no,
everyone's going on about how Alonso's a young manager with time to grow, but that's never going to Amorim, even though he's younger.
They're both fucking young.
He's a young manager in terms of the experience in the game, not their age.
Yeah. Xabi Alonso played for Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Liverpool Football Club. Won a Champions League with all 3 clubs, I believe. Could be mistaken.
He didn't win with Bayern Munich, make it.
I think he didn't win. Yeah. But point is, like, he has a good mixture of stuff. Anyway, gonna wrap it up here, you guys. Almost been 2 hours. Big up to Aaron, Onana, Ed, Vikas, Donny, Craig, Nadra, Morshin, Selection. Big up to Memphis, Dinishan, Essie, Rishi, Frankie, Constantinos, Ryan, Saad, Elburn, Uga Buga, Hassuni, and Toka for the super chats. Big up to you guys. Make sure you're all slapping the like button. Make sure you're all subscribing. And as always, because you guys are a bunch of lazy bastards, because you guys don't want to search for the channels yourselves, all the channels, literally all of them, including Jamie's one, big up to him, are in the video description right now. All you have to do is just click on it, and as you guys can see right here, see? All the channels are here, Habibi. See, I click on it. Jamie Phillips, subscribed, see, right here. You click on Jerry James Show, subscribed right here. You click on G Football channel, GTV Football channel, subscribed right here. See, right there.
You had to subscribe quickly, G. You had to.
No, I didn't.
Football channel, unsubscribed.
And Rax's Twitter is in the description as well. Rax's Twitter is in the
description. But if you click on Tom's channel, it says unsubscribed. Come on, be real.
Tom's Little is the one. Tom Little is the one I had to subscribe to.
Just blocked. Tom is blocked.
I subscribe every day. So yeah, big up to you guys for joining us. It has been a pleasure, bringing back the crew, the OG panel, as the guys said. Absolutely. I think we need to bring this back even probably when there's more positive shit to talk about, sometime.
You need to have a thing once a month, bro. I keep telling you. Like once a month we meet together, we talk about Liverpool's month, we just go through it and see how we feel. We get things off our chest if we need to.
What, like a monthly AA meeting?
Yes, that's what we need, bro. That's what we fucking need.
I said before you came on the stream, I said,
how are we all getting on this month, people? Have we had any
literally?
Have we had
any relapses?
Does anyone need to get anything off the chest?
By the time we do the meeting next month, Liverpool will probably be Carabao Cup champions.
We might be in the rush. We might be out of all competitions, bar the Europa League.
Oh wow! Ever so
when
positive,
does
Gary.
When does Europa League come back? When does it come back? When does Europa League come back? I know we're like
end of Feb.
Middle
Feb, end of Feb.
Yeah.
I think one leg is like end of Feb, the other leg's mid March.
Start of March, actually, I think.
Okay.
Beginning of
By the
March,
way, anybody in the chat, you know what I'm saying, if you can hook me up with some tickets for the final, just give me a shout, DM me. We can talk.
Fair. Make sure you guys go DM G as well. So look, big up to all of you guys for joining us. We'll try and run this back a couple of times. Go subscribe to all the guys' channels. Follow Rax on Twitter as well. Follow all these guys on social media. Love you all. I'm going to leave you. I have no idea what we have coming up tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm doing, for this weekend or whatever, because obviously maybe the watch along, I might be able to do it, might not be able to do it because I'll be at the airport picking up my parents. So that might be a thing. So I might not be able to do it. But other than that, we'll try to give you guys some form of content either tomorrow or after tomorrow. So look, love you all. And make sure to go subscribe to all these guys. Like the video and subscribe. See you guys whenever we see you, inshallah. Peace.